Welcome. Before we start, please take a moment to locate the translation globe icon. We have interpreters in Spanish and in French. My name is Pino Kitty, and I am the president of the Heroikka Association, and I will be your MC today. Can you believe it's our fourth summit? The Women Impact Summit was born to share the different ways of addressing economic opportunities from governments, institutions, private sectors, and regional leaders working on special initiatives for women. But we firmly believe that the true power comes from connecting with each other to support entrepreneurship and boost your business and ideas. For this reason, we have created one of the most diverse pitch sections that you can find, including women entrepreneurs from all continents. We work really hard to give visibility and access to women of all diverse backgrounds around the world by making this event completely free. Women Impact Summit is possible thanks to the collaboration of different organizations and initiatives, and this year they are the US Embassy in Spain and Andorra, Cheryl Porro Coaching, Casa Africa, the Heroikka Association, and the Heroikka Platform. Thanks to all of you, the Women Impact Summit is the fastest growing global conference focused on women entrepreneurs from underrepresented communities. And now we are honored to start today with Julissa Reynoso Pantaleón. She is the US Ambassador to Spain and Andorra.
Hello and welcome to the 2024 Women Impact Summit. My name is Julissa Reynoso and I am the United States Ambassador to Spain and Andorra. I'm deeply honored to welcome you to the Women Impact Summit, a celebration of passion, creativity, and the resilience of women entrepreneurs from all over the world. We're so proud and thankful for the community of organizers, sponsors, partners, and all the incredible business people who have gathered here today. The organizers of the summit, Asociación Heroikka and the Heroikka Platform, have worked hard to create a space for you to share your ideas, challenges, impact, and the economic development that you create in your communities. Thanks to your constant support, this summit has already accomplished so much, including more than 1 million unique visitors on the platform, more than 14,000 attendees, more than 1,000 applications to pitch, more than 120 countries represented in the audience, more than 210 speakers, including some of our very own excellent Academy for Women Entrepreneurs alumni from here in Spain and from around the world. The United States believes in giving enterprising women the knowledge, networks, and access they need to launch and scale successful businesses. As a proud sponsor of the Women Impact Summit, the U.S. Embassy in Madrid and the U.S. Consulate in Andorra have found a space in this summit to present initiatives such as the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs, which has already impacted 25,000 women in over 100 countries, empowering them to reach their full economic potential. We know many alumni are here today, so I want to take a moment to give a special shout out to the Spanish and Andorran alumni from our 6 editions who are attending this summit this week. The impact of the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs is real. 74% of you are earning more since completing the program, and nearly a third have hired more staff, creating great new employment opportunities for people. But today's event is not only about what we've done or accomplished, it's about where we go from here. We know you have the talent, you certainly have the skills. Let's make sure our women-owned businesses are represented in our communities and our trade associations, are taken into account by our governments, are central to our public policy, and are present in all the halls of power. As I've seen here in Spain and before when working at the White House with President Biden as co-chair of the first ever U.S. Gender Policy Council established by the President in March 2021, Advancing gender equity and equality is fundamental to every individual's economic security, safety, health, and the ability to exercise basic human rights. Ensuring that all people, regardless of gender, have the opportunity to realize their full potential is our moral imperative, and it's a strategic imperative for the United States. As you embark on this incredible journey over the next few days, let us be open to learning, to sharing, and to celebrating each other's successes. At this summit, your project matters, your business matters, your community matters. Thank you, and let the Women Impact Summit begin.
Thanks, Ambassador Reynoso, for these words of thank you very much for these words of encouragement, and to the U.S. Embassy for being a sponsor this year. We continue with an amazing fire chat now between Kathi Vidal. She's the Undersecretary of Commerce for Intellectual Property and Director of the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and Micah Hill, which is the founder of Heroikka.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us again on the fourth summit this year. First of all, I want to share with all of you, now that we have a couple of minutes, and thank you, Pino, for sure, for being our MC today, that this year is a transition year. Last year, we had amazing numbers of unique visitors in the platform, and we're trying to deliver and create a new platform this year that can make your projects and your businesses more sustainable. So stay tuned. We will give you more information during the conference and actually during this year, and we can't wait to work with all of you. Second, thank you so much for everyone that have been posting the projects at Heroikka. They are all amazing, and I wish we had so many spaces where we could actually include all of you. But let me tell you, we will be contacting as well all of you in the next months because we need your feedback. And we love the work that you're doing. And as I said, we want to create a platform for all of us where we can support each other and actually give visibility to all the amazing work that you're doing. The other thing that I want to say is I want to thank our production team, because as you know, they've been doing an amazing job this year. Silvia, Irene, Irina from Marketing and Communications, our amazing translators and interpreters, Carla, Anouk, Pearl, Andrea, Polly, thank you so much. Oh, people from Poland, hi. So definitely, thank you so much. And to all of you, our attendees, our community, thank you. We wouldn't be able to do what we do every year without you. And all of you, your projects, your businesses, the way that you are impacting in your community is what inspires us to continue working every year and get into this fight of finding funding and also more partners to give the visibility that you deserve for your projects. So if you don't mind, I'm going to start now introducing our next speaker. I must confess that I'm super excited about having our next speaker. I'm going to mention some words that she said. She said, we need to support more women inventors and entrepreneurs. Our technological and economic future depends on it. If women were supported and funded to start and scale businesses at the same rate as men, we could see global economic gains of 5 to 6 trillion, according to analysis by the Women Entrepreneur Finance Initiative. That's a game changer. Please, let's give a really warm welcome to Director of the United States Patent and Trademark Office, USPTO, and Undersecretary of Commerce for Intellectual Property, Kathi Vidal. Hi, Kathi. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Really nice meeting you. I've been a fan of yours and I've been following you for so long. So when Pino told me that we had an opportunity to invite you to the summit, you cannot imagine. I was like a kid in a candy store.
Well, and you cannot imagine how excited I was when I was in Spain and I heard about this incredible summit. So thank you for having me on and for all you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. It's all about our community. That is great. Look at all of them in the chat already. So I just want to welcome all of them. And another thing that I want to share with the community is that as soon as we invited you, you said yes. So I'm very touched. Thank you for your support. Really, we really appreciate it.
Of course, just want to find more ways we can do more together to help women. So super excited to be here.
So if you don't mind, I'm going to read a little bit about your bio that is huge and amazing, but I want to underline certain things that you've been doing. So our audience can imagine everything that you have under your shoulders and why we appreciate that you're here with us today. Kathi serves as the Secretary of Commerce for Intellectual Property and Director of the United States Patent and Trademark Office, an American innovation agency. She leads one of the largest intellectual property offices in the world. Imagine managing 13,000 employees. I cannot even think about it. You have a budget around $4 billion. That's quite a budget. Let me tell you. She's also the principal IP advisor to the president and administration through the Secretary of Commerce. And of course, she's focused on incentivizing and protecting U.S. innovation, entrepreneurship, and creativity, and helping American workers and businesses complete and collaborate, especially in key technology areas. So as director of the USPTO, Director Vidal is working to expand American innovation. And she's also the vice chair of the Council for Inclusive Innovation. Also with the Secretary of Commerce, Gina Raimondo, and you serve as co-chair of the National Advisory Council of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And also with the Secretary of Commerce, Gina Raimondo, because I know that I asked you this, you are the co-founder of the Women Entrepreneurship Initiative. Kathi, how did your career path and life lead you to where you are today?
Well, that's such a great question. So, I grew up as an engineer. I'm very much a nerd. And, even when I was in high school, I had an oscilloscope in my bedroom and was really interested in science and the world and innovation, and ended up going into engineering, worked at General Electric Aerospace. I actually worked on artificial intelligence systems way back in the day in the 90s. And then at some point took a turn and went to law school, but really wanted to focus on technology, innovation, entrepreneurship. And then, through that whole path, I always felt like you define your power and your influence, not by your job title, but really the impact that you have on the world. So I did a lot to mentor women from around the world through a State Department program with 14 Most Powerful Women. That was phenomenal, where we'd bring in women entrepreneurs from around the globe. They'd spend a month with me. I'd mentor them. I'd work with them with my networks, give them access. And then every step of the way through my law career, I did everything that I could to lift women and people of color. That was really my mission beyond my job title. So I did it in my job itself. I did it on a number of boards of organizations. And just really tried to lean in to make a difference, whether it was with policy or with other things. And then at some point, I got an email from the White House asking if I was interested in this role. And when I thought about it, I thought it was a chance to really have more impact, to take all the things that were really at heart with me and do it on a broader scale, not just everything you said about doing it for the United States, but working with our ally countries as well, and making sure that that we all work together on this to make the infrastructure for women, the barriers reduced around the globe. So that's what eventually led me to where I am, and I could not be more thrilled. Again, not just to do my day-to-day job, which is really focused on patents and trademarks, copyrights, trade secrets, but to really focus on the whole innovation ecosystem, to look at every part of it anew, to say, is this an ecosystem that's going to work for everyone, for people in rural communities, for women, for people of color? And so that's why, as you see, a lot of my efforts are around the Council for Inclusive Innovation and the National Advisory Council on Innovation and Entrepreneurship. I'm leaning into our military spouses as well, just trying to find people everywhere that I know have amazing ideas and so much energy, and making sure that we create a system where they can thrive.
Kathi, just to let you know, we have plans for you. So
excellent. I love plans.
So would you consider yourself an entrepreneur then?
So I think so. I think, to me, whether it's an entrepreneur or entrepreneur, it's somebody who always is pushing the boundaries and thinking, what if? Whether it's a problem you see, how can I solve it? I've done that within organizations. I've revamped systems within organizations. I'm doing that now with the USPTO to try and make the entire USPTO itself more inclusive, an area for opportunity for everybody. So I think it's somebody who looks at the world that way. I will say, as part of my background, I also was, I did startup funding. I was on a board of a startup. So I definitely have rolled up my sleeves and played a role when it comes to starting companies as well.
Good to know. So I talk to many women entrepreneurs. I mean, we are all in the same boat. And, sometimes because of the funds that we have, we tend not to look so much into IP and the innovation that we are creating. Please, Kathi, can you remind us how important it is to protect our IP and innovations, especially now that AI is everywhere?
Oh, absolutely. So, the issue with AI being everywhere, I'll just start with that, is that whatever you come up with, whatever your ideas are, AI can also likely come up with it. So it's really important if you've done it first. So on the patent side, if you had an idea for a product, or our 1 millionth design patent that we just issued was from a woman entrepreneur who had a salon for hair, and she came up with a new design for a comb. So anything like that where you can protect it and make sure that because you were first, you have nobody's going to say that you didn't have the first invention on it. And B, when you get successful as an entrepreneur, that's when people start knocking your goods off and trying to sell against you, especially on the internet. So, having the protection, both with a patent on things like designs and your creations, but also a trademark. If you've got a trademark for your brand, a national trademark, for example, in the United States, you can take that trademark to the border and say, don't import goods under this trademark. It's the same with a number of other countries as well. You can also go to online resellers. So say you created a company. I met a number of amazing women entrepreneurs in Spain with so many different ideas, and some of them were highly technical in the bio space, some of them were more in the AI space, some of them were more bakery and other items. But no matter what your brand, once you start becoming successful, there are people who will try and rip you off, and including from certain countries. And so being able to wave that around and say, I own this. I came up with this brand first. I came up with this product design first. It's so important to protecting your business. The other thing, so when we founded Women's Entrepreneurship, the thing we thought about is, what do women need most of all? So it's mentoring for sure, but it's also money. And IP, not just because for IP's sake, which is what I just discussed, but when you have IP, it gives you greater access to capital. Because when people invest in you, they know that their investment is being protected by intellectual property. So many reasons why it's important. I would encourage everybody to tune into our We Wednesdays, We do them once a month, great content for anybody around the world. And I know we're going to roll out a We Wednesday internationally as well soon.
Great. You can share the information with us. We will post it in our website. And for sure, we will figure out a way to collaborate to give also better exposure to your community, to all our global community. That is awesome. So it would be great to see that. But we will talk about that later. I wanted to continue our conversation talking about these stats that we're seeing everywhere. About 60% of female-led businesses achieve higher ESG scores. For some of us, environmental, social, and governance scores. But all women startup teams received last year less than 2% in venture capital allocated. Actually, it was, if I'm right, I was checking the latest report, it was 1.9. Yeah. Just in case, I like to be through with it.
That is accurate.
Yes, I don't want anyone pulling my ears. Since you have experience dealing with all types of stakeholders in the ecosystem, what do you think that needs to change so these stakeholders start investing funds and resources in diverse female founders?
So really good question. And that's one of the things we're tackling on the National Advisory Council on Innovation and Entrepreneurship. We are going to be releasing a national entrepreneurship strategy. And that is the gist of the strategy, is how do we reduce barriers so that everybody can participate in entrepreneurship, in the funding. So I would say stay tuned on that. There are going to be a lot of great ideas that we are going to implement within the United States. It can be implemented everywhere. The other thing I would say is women are really great at working with other women. So developing, things like this programming right now, where women can hear from other women how they've gone about it, where women can build connections. Because, if you need money, it's hard if you don't have a network, if you have never had a business before, so you're not proven, and if you don't have any intellectual property. So you could have 3 strikes against you. Now, I would say work on all 3 of those. But I think it's important to make sure that you're getting the resources from other women, that you're having them connect you up with funding sources. So you're not just going in cold, that you have somebody who's successful in the past to be a blessing on what you're trying to do. And then to make sure you have the network for that. And then intellectual property as well it's a democratizer in some sense. So when you go in and they say, well, we don't know you haven't received funding before. If you say, well, I have 6 patents on this, I own this technology, here's the niche it fills in the marketplace, you're going to be much more likely to get funding. So I will say that's critically important. The other thing that's really important is to make sure we start thinking about making sure the funders are diverse. Because you quote the statistic of 1.9%, most of the people making those decisions are not diverse themselves. So they may miss the opportunity. One good example I like is Spanx. When Spanx went to get a patent, I know that Susan Blakely, she spoke to a number of even patent agents and patent lawyers to patent her technology, and they didn't understand or get it until she found a woman. So making sure that we have a diverse group of funders as well is critically important. And I'll just say one more thing. Most entrepreneurs in the US start with a friends and family round. So that's another great reason to make sure that in these environments, you're creating a really strong network. Because if you share your ideas, I've invested in a lot of women companies and everything from films to products to new kinds of water. And once you figure out that network, you can start getting that funding. And then it's easier to get funding later once you have a base to start with.
It's true. Make friends first, and later they will love you and they will invest in you, no? That would be it.
Absolutely. And to the extent we can find barriers anywhere in the system, we're really trying to knock them down. And I've got this great example of something we did recently where we noticed that even when women come to patent at the United States Patent and Trademark Office, that our first real letter to them is a rejection. Like how welcoming is that? Like how many women on this call would receive a rejection and think, wow, that's great. Like I'm on the right path. I want to keep going. It's disheartening. And so what we're doing is once we realize like where are the barriers, we're trying to remove them. So now what we do is we have welcome letters and we have a picture of me and the deputy director, and we direct women who file for patents to all the resources we have that can help them on their journey. So I think it's all about going through the whole ecosystem and saying, where are women not succeeding at the same rate as men? Because we know it's not anything to do with capabilities. It has to do with how we built the systems.
That's true. Kathi, can we, let's talk a little bit about the We initiative and where we can find some information, because we don't have too much time left. And of course, I want to leave some minutes for final thoughts here.
Perfect. So I will put it in the chat so everybody has access to it. Like I said, it's all, by the way, all of our programming is no cost. So I will put it there. There's old videos, not old, previous videos you can watch with some of the most successful women entrepreneurs in the country and elsewhere. But like I said, we're moving more internationally, who talk about their journeys and what barriers they face and how they overcame them. So I'll put it in the chat, but would encourage you to watch those videos. I mean, even simple things like if you go to a funder and they say no, asking the funder, okay, maybe you're not interested, but who else might be interested? That was a suggestion from Kara Golden, who started Hint Water. So just listening to how other people approached it, I think can really give you a toolkit to be successful. So I will put that in the chat.
Oh, great. Thank you. One of the things that I want to share with our audience is that next year we are reaching a landmark. It's going to be our 5th summit. And for us, we never thought, you know, when we started with all of this, that we were going to get there after, you know, everything that we've been through, especially, and also having more than 1 million unique visitors last year into our platform, Heroikka. That's why we are in this year, in a transition year, trying to build the new platform. And of course, we're going to ask you for feedback and advice, of course. I would love to extend an invitation for you to join us next year and introduce also some of the benefits of the We program and actually how we can make both of our ecosystems collaborate together so we can create bigger impact. So if it's that okay with you.
I love that idea. We'll have to clear it with my schedule to make sure, but let me know in advance because I would love to join if I can. That sounds phenomenal. And just being connected to all these great women, it gives me energy, and anything you and I can do together, I would love to lean in on all that.
Oh, it would be an honor, and I feel extremely humble. I can't wait to learn more from you, really. Kathi, Vidal, thank you so much for joining us today. It's truly a pleasure, and thank you so much for you know, taking the time to share all your experience with our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great session.
You too. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Tino?
Thanks, Micah. Thanks to Director Vidal and Micah for this wonderful chat. We continue now with our first panel, Artificial Intelligence, Opportunities, Challenges, and Impact in Our Communities. It will be moderated by Josel de Ocampo Gautam. She's the founder at OnPoint and board director at Credit Do. Cheryl Porro, she's the Senior Vice President of Engineering at Better Works and Executive Coach. Edika Kramer, she's the co-founder at How Women Invest and Family Office Investor. And Shujat Ahmad, he is the Director at People Analytics, Future of Work Strategy and Innovation at LinkedIn, and founder at Belong and Lead.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome, Pino. Hello to everyone. I'm so energized to be here today alongside an esteemed panel for a pivotal conversation on artificial intelligence, or AI. AI stands to be one of the most transformational technology advancements of our time. And I'm so excited to learn today alongside you on its application to business, as well as our lives, as it's ever expanding and it's so vast. And with any innovation, you're faced with both evolution and disruption. And so our goal here today with this amazing global audience is to unpack AI, what it is, and to provide you with deeper insights on its impact and application across business strategy, the venture capital funding landscape, and the future of work. And so I'm truly honored to be joined by our distinguished guests here, Cheryl Poro, Erica Kramer, and Shujat Ahmed. They each bring such a unique and vast perspective and expertise to the conversation. So let's get started. So to kick us off,
I
Cheryl,
jump in.
Yeah, let's
Yes.
do it. Thank you so much for being here. And I think it would be really wonderful for the audience. You've had such a wonderful, kind of distinguished engineer career on some of the most prolific brands in technology, such as Amazon, Salesforce, and now Better Works. We'd love to kick off this conversation with you. Tell us about what is AI and why is it so important?
Absolutely. Thank you. And hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here with everyone today. So as the engineer, I'm going to do just a quick, brief primer on AI. So you probably all know that AI stands for artificial intelligence, and it really is referring to the development of computer systems that can perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. So these tasks can include problem solving, decision making, understanding natural language, recognizing patterns, learning from data. AI aims to create machines that can simulate human cognitive functions and automate complex processes. So AI systems use machine learning algorithms to train computers to complete these tasks. So for example, quite simply, an algorithm built to identify objects in an image will be trained against many images over time. So that algorithm will learn, say, what a human face looks like or what a bird looks like, and will get really good at identifying objects of any kind in any image. So that's really how a lot of these algorithms have been built over time. And AI, in fact, has been around for several decades, and the term artificial intelligence was coined at the Dartmouth Conference in 1956. So yeah, a long time, right? So it's been around. And we have, as consumers, have been interacting with AI in the tools we use for a long while now, whether we might have been aware of it or not, whether it's the conversational ability of a voice assistant like Siri or Alexa, or the eye-catching and keeping algorithms of social media apps, or recommendation systems employed by, entertainment apps. So AI is really everywhere, and we're interacting with it all the time. So what's so special about AI now? Why the buzz? Why is it this thing that we're all talking about? And it really just started with OpenAI releasing ChatGPT into the wild last November. So the difference between the AI of the past and the AI of now, I think, has become apparent to many of us. So I'm guessing, you've interacted with a chatbot on a website and have been less than impressed with its capabilities. I know I had, the typical sort of support chatbot that you start to interact with, and it very quickly can no longer decipher what you're needing and needs to direct you to a human. So that has been our experience with a lot of AI up till now. And then all of a sudden, we start interacting with ChatGPT, and it is acting like a human. So all of that awkwardness of the AI of the past is gone. And not only are we interacting with a human, but it is a super smart human, right? That knows everything. And so this innovation has really captured our imaginations and has just unlocked a ton of innovation really quickly. And before I move on, one of the other important reasons why we're seeing so much energy and excitement around AI, despite, in addition to this sort of leapfrog capability of generative AI, is that no matter who you are able to access this technology quite easily. So whether you're an individual using ChatGPT to find efficiency in your day-to-day, which I'm hoping you're all trying and doing, or whether you're building software and interacting and leveraging with these generative AI models, you're able to do that quite easily. So the underpinnings of generative AI are really around these, what are referred to as large language models. So they're models trained on just, an infinite amount of content, leveraging a lot of, billions of factors in its capabilities that allow these LLMs to behave human-like. So, for example, at BetterWorks, we're leveraging generative AI in our application. We released new features not too long ago, and all it is a basic API call to an OpenAI API. So that's why we're seeing such a proliferation of generative AI in the world right now, is that it's really quite easy for companies to leverage this technology, whether it's the models being developed by OpenAI or Anthropic or Google or Meta. There's open source models. If you haven't heard of this company called Hugging Face, so it's based on that little hugging face icon. Not icon, emoji. Yeah, emoji. Yes. They host thousands and thousands of open source models that anyone can leverage quite easily. So that's kind of the big shift that's happening right now, and what's so exciting about it. And before we move on to the panel, if there's one important point that I want to leave us all with, is don't fear AI. There is a lot to be worried about and to be concerned about and to mitigate against. But if we fear AI, if we don't approach AI in an attempt to learn about it, we're likely going to fall behind. AI shouldn't replace humans. It should be about making us better and more efficient at what we do. And so realize you're using AI already in your day-to-day tasks. And there's so much available out there for you to get started. I think in particular for entrepreneurs, this technology shift is going to serve us. As entrepreneurs, especially of small businesses, we can't afford to hire all the expertise we need, right, within our businesses. We have that expertise now available to us through generative AI. So lots of resources out there to get started. And yeah, let's continue on with the panel. Hopefully that helped.
So fascinating, and really appreciate that primer, particularly from a builder's point of view. And I love your excitement, and especially around, that it's accessible to everyone anywhere in the world, which, for our audience, very important. And that don't fear it is some of the takeaways that I heard from you. So it's a really wonderful way to kind of think about as we dive a little bit deeper into this. And so, Heroikka, I'd love to invite you to this next question, and tagging back a little bit to the prior conversation that Kathi was mentioning around funding, and particularly funding women businesses. So you're a successful venture capitalist funding women leaders. I'd love to know from you, what does AI mean to you? And share with us a little bit more about your perspective.
Thank you, Giselle, and thank you for inviting me to this amazing global community and conference. This is fantastic to see so many folks participating from all over the world. Very exciting. So we formed How Women Invest in 2020, and it's been incredibly exciting to see the transformation of the types of companies that investment opportunities that we're seeing because of AI, because of the accessibility with these tools. So for me as a venture capitalist, and I know we'll get into some of the statistics just like Kathi did on the prior discussion, but when only 11% of the decision makers are women, it means that very few companies get funded. AI and these tools have made me much more efficient as a venture capitalist. I'm able to source investment opportunities. I'm able to compare them. I'm able to do analysis on them differently. I'm able to share them with other co-investors. So it's just much more powerful. It makes me more powerful as an investor. And, with any innovation that's disruptive, you have life-changing qualities. You have so many opportunities to improve health and lifestyles and financial well-being. There's also the potential for negative behavior with everything. There's a pro and a con with everything. And so I also look at this as caution. Okay, so how do we use AI to conduct due diligence? How do we use AI to ensure that our investors are protected? There's so many aspects of it. So with everything in life, when there's someone doing good with something, there's always going to be some opportunity to have a negative outcome as well. So we're very careful about that.
Indeed. And I'd love to pick up on that point of kind of the upside and downside, and particularly the stat you shared around 11% of decision makers are females. I'm wondering, from how you're leveraging this technology, how is this transforming the way you make decisions, and particularly the landscape for women-owned businesses?
I think for the landscape, and in the prior discussion, we talked about, or she talked about the network effect of venture capital, right? So traditionally, it's been very much a system of networks, and you have to be in the right communities in order to access investors. If you don't come from, I'm first generation American, I don't come from money. And so my network wasn't going to necessarily fund me immediately. But having the AI tools, and the other thing that we've found is that female founders tend to bootstrap longer. So part of the efficiency ratio that was quoted with female founded companies, the reason why they're so efficient is because they've had no choice. It hasn't been like the money just follows them wherever they go, and boom, these are women, these are female founders that need to be super efficient, capital efficient, and how they're utilizing their resources. And so I think AI transforms a lot of that. Female founded companies are now visible to a broader array of investors, whether it be high net worth individuals, family offices, or venture capitalists. But it also just, it helps level the playing field, right? And it helps speed up the ability to get to your minimum viable product and product market fit. So if women are bootstrapping longer, this shortens that time frame of getting to market and scaling by having access to these tools. So one, it's visibility, it's accessing more networks and more communities, being visible to those communities, and then the effect it has on the business development and strategy, go-to-market strategy.
Sounds like a lot of upside and opportunity.
Yes. Well, and for investors as well. We're a small team. I don't need a huge staff. I'm an investment banker by background, and what I'm able to do with ChatGPT, with my monthly subscription, I am. Oh, if I had this as an analyst, I would have been. I would have owned my own firm a long, long time ago.
That's good. I think for people to see an application of how you use it in your day-to-day. I would like to dive a little bit deeper to kind of for our audience as they're thinking about growing their businesses. And I would love to kind of think about the reality today and some of the things that you and Cheryl have shared thus far in terms of the upside of the technology. And I'll share a few statistics, additional ones, shared by your firm, How Women Invest. So what you've shared is that only 2% of companies founded by women get venture backing, one. And though 40% of those companies are founded by women, and those same companies generate 26% greater return than those founded by men. So my biggest takeaway here, and you know the data better, is that we should be funding more women faster. So share with us, how does AI change the funding equation for women?
Yeah, again, I think it's democratization of access to tools, access to networks. When you have more female investors, then you have more funding available to female-founded companies. I look at this as very much as closing the wealth gap. So women hire more women, women bring more women on their boards and on the cap table. And as with, at least in the United States, when you think about liquidity events, that's the greatest wealth creation event that you can have in your career, in your lifetime. And so more women having those wealth creation events faster because of the accessibility with these tools and ability to scale, I think we end up closing the wealth gap much more effectively and faster.
What a world it would be if we could do that faster. Thank you for sharing those insights. I'd love to add another dimension to our conversation. And Shujat, around your work, you work a lot around the space of the future of work, and particularly diversity and inclusion and belonging. I'd love just an introduction to, one, what does AI mean to you in your day-to-day work and life? And then in particular, share with us a little bit more about the future of work and what does that mean for AI?
Perfect. Thank you, Giselle. First of all, can you all hear me? Okay. All right. So very, it's a privilege to be here with this panel, but also just looking at the audience and the chat, like such a global, diverse audience. Let me break this into three portions, right? So one, like what does it mean for work, how it's going to impact work as we know it. And then specifically, I think it's a threat, but also a massive upside opportunity for women and underrepresented groups, right? What Heroikka was talking about, and I think Kathi was talking about earlier. So, think of, we heard the term GPT. So GPT, think of it as general purpose technology, right? Just like the steam engine was a general purpose technology, electricity was a general purpose technology. They helped change the way the world connected and did business. Then the personal computer, internet, how we are all connected. So this is the new era of general purpose where it's a level playing field, right? And it's going to transform the way of the world that we know as of now. What does that mean? So first of all, I think about tasks, not jobs, right? So there's a lot of hype about AI will end jobs. So I think it's the person playing with AI who will take your job away, not the AI that will take your job away. So when you think about tasks, right? So what does that mean is there are tasks in any business, whether it's engineering, sales, marketing, that can be completely automated by existing and more AI that's going to come in the future. So we think of it as automation, right? Automation of existing tasks. But then there are tasks where humans use AI to augment their ability to be more effective, efficient. So think of like a sales development cycle, your ability to do the research, qualify the leads, get contracts done can be automated. But in the end, that negotiation, the discussion with the client, that human touch, that's where the human is going to use AI to be better at human-oriented tasks. And we call that augmentation, but that's augmentation of an existing work, like the way we know how tasks are. How will that impact, and why we say that this is a general purpose technology transforming work? So I think there's two main aspects. There's two main paradoxes. Number one is skills. So right now, when we think that, you may not need senior engineers, or you may need senior engineers and you may not need junior engineers. Thing is, what defines senior and junior and skills is completely changed now, because you may not need technical prowess and need technical capabilities. You may need to be a journalist, and being a journalist is going to be more in demand, because the key skill for you is going to be, how do you quickly become an unlearning and learning animal? Because the more you play with AI is going to be your teammate, not a tool. And just like, a teammate that uplifts you, right, you got to get better the more you use it. Right? At the same time, there's a paradox, right? You have most of the tasks that get automated right now, the way the world is looking at it, are repeatable tasks, right? In this world, the data in the US, at least, women and underrepresented groups normally occupy majority of the jobs that have repeatable tasks. So if you don't do anything about it, you're going to drastically impact populations and communities where this is an entry point into the workforce, right? However, at the same time, it's an opportunity as well, because the way the systemic inequities are designed, right? When you get hired, or you get promoted, how do you even get eligible to apply for a job, right? Whether it's a STEM education, right? All of that is based on mass scale. I need 90 engineers, so sure, I will get 20 as women and 70 as male. But when the opportunities come in, the 70 will have a higher chance. Now, you may not need 90 engineers. You may need 2 or 3 engineers who can leverage AI around them and can be an army of their own. You can leverage that to actually be more intentional about how do you uplift diverse communities. At the same time, it's a level playing field. A kid sitting in Sri Lanka and a Wall Street investor have access to the same tool. It's the same capability, and you can learn, you can coach. So Heroikka was saying and Kathi was saying that there's 3 strikes against you. You can overturn those strikes now, because access to skills, education, you have a personal coach. You can really fast operate by having analysts and assistants, which is an AI, do it for you. And more recently, like just yesterday, OpenAI introduced custom GPTs. You can go in, if you have the GPT Plus subscription, you can go create a GPT as you want. And their CEO did that live yesterday in 4 minutes. You do not need coding. You do not need technical capabilities. All you need to know is being able to play and engage with AI. And one thing so that I see is a massive opportunity for women and underrepresented groups to leapfrog as entrepreneurs, create new opportunities, and also entrepreneurs within a company. Last thing I'll say, I think, is this: think of, jobs are not going to go away. Jobs are going to get redesigned. And you can leapfrog and say, hey, I'm going to redesign the world that already had a lot of inequities, but I can change it to a point where, it plays in my favor now.
Really fascinating things that you shared, Shujat. And again, I would say, like, the thread is accessibility, that analogy of Sri Lanka to, a Manhattan desk, which I have been in before. Heroikka, I was that analyst. And so it's a really exciting time. There are a few things that you also mentioned around maybe the redesigning work. I wanted to touch on a point that you shared around, basically the question is AI going to reduce the amount of jobs today? There's discussion around that in the media. I would love to get your and Cheryl's perspective when you think about, for the folks here who are building their businesses, figuring out talent and how might they augment that. How do you think about, one, is AI going to, how is AI going to change your decision making, and what should you then be thinking about as a leader?
So let me start with something and then throw it to Heroikka, because I'm very curious to hear what she says about this from a funding aspect. So I think you got to see the world always in 2 paradigms. One is the world that we know as of today, and then the world that it could be. And in there, you have to ask the assumptions based on what you think the world is today, do they still hold true? I think with this technology, those assumptions have become completely void. And companies are, in the short term, you will lose jobs because you're saying, in today's, the way the world is designed, I'm going to automate tasks. For example, if any engineers out there, all studies on engineering is engineers spend not more than 10, 20% of their time coding. So if they're only spending 10, 20% time of their coding, was the world really designed poorly? What were they doing on the 80% of the time, right? Because that's just natural friction, the way organizations are designed. How the world could be, you got to think about, okay, short-term jobs will be lost, but long-term, actually, there's going to be more jobs created for whoever thinks that, okay, let's not redesign what the world is, let's rethink the world. Now with this technology, how do we assign the work and the jobs around it? And I'll throw it to Heroikka from a funding, because here's one of the aspects I think as a minority myself as well, all the biases against who's presenting, right? Who's the founder, and do they have the funding and the network to scale, can be overturned because you can play that bias to your favor. If someone wants someone to look like X, Y, Z when they're presenting, AI can do that for you. And you can make AI tailor the message, tailor the language in a way that you get the funding right now. So, and without having an army, without having that network, you can build that right now. And that actually makes funding easier and also makes, internal politics within a company very different as well. I don't know if Heroikka agrees with that.
Yeah, I totally agree in terms of sourcing investment opportunities, that you remove some of that network effect because you're sourcing. So take Crunchbase, for instance, right? You have a database that you can now use with AI. You can analyze them. You can analyze them from a qualitative and a quantitative perspective without taking into effect what your inherent bias might be towards the founding team. So it helps democratize the investment search. I think in some respects, it makes it a little bit harder for me to ascertain what are the true differentiators and what is that competitive moat. So I'll always ask our founders, and each one of our portfolio companies today has some element of AI in their solution, but how easy is it for someone else to replicate what they're doing? So getting to market faster, so first mover advantage becomes that much more critical, as well as, and to Kathy's point earlier, is wherever you can patent your solution and truly create a competitive moat where somebody can't. I mean, the challenge is you'd have to defend that, and that costs money. But I think as a venture investor, I spend much more time focused on what does the competitive landscape look like, what is the true moat, and I'm maybe less concerned about the ability to scale because there's so many more inherent efficiencies built into the product development and the marketability of that product or solution.
Giselle, is it okay if I can add to that? There. So here's something I will share from you. You talked about moat and competitiveness, right? So I'll just share two anecdotes. Number one, and from all our research with every AI player, there's no expert. The only expert is the more use you do it, right? You'll see a lot of reports and consulting studies. They are not. It's all based on individual use cases. The part is very recently we were at a conference where think of every possible AI expert was also presenting at that conference. But the conference was generally about business and talent. Every topic was around AI, but the actual session where the AI experts were sitting was the least crowded. And when I look at it, it reminds me of like sort of Steve Jobs and Wozniak, that when they were presenting, there was the fewest amount of people in there. That's your comparative advantage right now, that everyone's talking about it. Very few actually want to go and play with it, right? And you have that advantage that if you jump in right now, and the more you use it, you can then build a moat. But experimentation and usage is the key here.
For sure. I think, that's why first mover advantage is so important, because you're collecting unique data to your focus that the machine is learning from massive amounts of your data versus what might be available to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm. And Cheryl, I'd love to get your perspective as well. I mean, you manage large engineering teams and you're doing performance analytics. What's your take on this new paradigm of skills in workplace?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first off, as mentioned, I think that it's not necessarily, yeah, sure, just some jobs are going to go away in the short term. Whole new roles are going to be created. Just like 10 or 15 years ago, there weren't social media marketers in companies. Now there are plenty of them. There are plenty of jobs that have evolved based on other technology shifts. And I would expect the same to be true with this technology shift. One of the things we're definitely seeing, I was at an AI conference in September, 2 days here in San Francisco. I'm in San Francisco, and it was like all the technical stuff. It was really fun and really interesting and compelling. And right now we're seeing this general purpose technology, and the future is really around tailoring the AI to very particular scenarios, very particular use cases, particular data sets. So that's sort of like in the future where things are going to go. One of the ways that we steer AI is through what's referred to as prompt engineering. But there's the word engineering in there, but it's not engineering. It is like, so you're not writing any code.
A little bit for us, Cheryl.
Yeah. It's essentially crafting the question to the AI in a way that's going to elicit the response that you want. And there's ways that you can do it that really help, guide and steer the AI to respond in the way you want. So if you just Google, or search for prompt engineering, you'll find examples, you'll find cheat sheets for how to interact with ChatGPT as an example. In order to elicit the responses you want. So I'll give you a quick example, which is a kind of a fun one. I have a side business. Well, it's really art. I create ceramic sculptures, and I was trying to look for ideas of, names of my ceramic store. So I am a big fan of Wes Anderson and Wes Anderson's films, if you've not heard of him. And so I said, your ChatGPT, you're Wes Anderson, right? Like, I am starting this business or this art, store. Give me, it was a more elaborate idea, more elaborately, stated, but, give me 10 ideas for a business name. And they were really funny. And I really appreciated that. So that's just an example of how you can kind of steer the AI. So at BetaWorks, for example, with performance management, one of the things that we're really worried about is bias in performance, right? In performance management. So how folks are promoted and evaluated at work. There's definitely bias in humans. There can be bias also with AI, right? The fact is the AI is trained on human created data, so it's inheriting that bias. But what we found, and what I think why very diverse companies tend to be more successful, is that when you bring diverse opinions together, that's that kind of natural tension in that diversity, I think, is what ends up resulting in better performance. So you can think of AI as your check and balance in that particular case. So that's how we're steering the AI that we're using, is to check against any inherent bias an individual might have when doing a performance review, as an example. So I do think that the future, it's really, I wish I had a crystal ball to see what in the 10 years, what the jobs are going to be. I have a 16-year-old daughter, and I'd love to guide her, in a great way. But I do think it's going to be the entrepreneurs, it's going to be, anyone, and it doesn't matter how old you are, it's just this willingness to jump in and learn. One of the things I love about being an engineer, and I've been doing it for, 25 or so years, is that it's always changing, always evolving. So you're always having to learn, and you just get used to it. Like, you get used to not knowing things and having to learn those things. And so that's what I would encourage folks to do, is just get in there and play. Because I think the future is being created now. And, I know I want to be a part of that. I don't, for sure. So.
Yeah, and you raise an important point about change, and you think about changing economies and how quickly environments change. So these tools allow companies to pivot quickly. And I think that's another venture backable component or qualitative factor that we like to see is ability to pivot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And often the bigger the company, the harder to pivot, right? And so I do think there is advantage to startups, to smaller companies, and to entrepreneurs because of that.
Yeah, and there's a great example is Canva, right? Who would have thought that there's a design company will be based out of Melbourne, a female led had all kinds of resistance, and now when the AI hype started, is right now in the hype cycle, and of all the AI B2C tools, Canva has the best one right now because the designers, the teams understood the use. And by the way, a lot of graphic designers also were more gender diverse. And so the tools are reflected there, and they were able to leverage AI to scale and bring it to market really fast versus, hey, we're all talking about AI, let's just, call it AI and it's actually something else. So that's like a big example of what the possibility is.
Brilliant example, Filipina founder. And like you mentioned, I want to pull on that thread is the bias to action sounds like that's the differentiator. Heroikka, you mentioned the way you're thinking about criteria for founders sounds a little bit different. So maybe when we think about closing remarks, I'd love to kind of understand from you, like, one, what are like your general thoughts for this audience that they should know? And two, what should they be focused on as small business owners aiming to be larger and aiming to have a broader impact in different markets?
Yeah, I think it's always, you're building something, especially if you want to be venture backable. Not all businesses are made for venture capital, right? But if you want to be a venture-backed company, then it's got to be a product or a solution that becomes a must-have, not a nice-to-have. And so those competitive differentiators, particularly in a world where tools are more accessible. So, yeah, I was talking to one of my former founders and of one of my former companies, and they were saying, well, yeah, it's funny, you don't even need to code anymore. But the fact, if you do know how to code, it just makes you that much more capable to build your company. You can, that knowledge fit is just much stronger. So I think, it's really about what is the must-have versus the nice to have is always my, sort of very unsophisticated test for a company that I want to put my own money and other people's money to back. The other thing is, I guess, as a female investor, and I have a daughter with special needs, I'm very focused on impact and the impact that new technologies make on the quality of lives. And so I do think we find more female founded companies that are focused on impactful solutions. So I think being able to measure against those and being able to report on that is becoming more and more important to investors.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Heroikka, both your business view and also how this impacts as well in your personal life. Shujat, sure, I'd love to invite any closing thoughts that you might have for our audience.
Shell, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I'll just say that I think we're at the beginning, right? This is all relatively new. And one of the things we're finding, I'm finding as an engineer and from an engineering perspective, is it's changing really, really quickly. And the innovation around GPT and around this generative AI is just, it's insane just how quickly it's moving. So I expect, things are going to very much evolve over the coming years. And, we have yet to see sort of the impact. And I do think, yes, like there's a ton of potential for impact for good, also risk of impact, negative impact. So I think that is something we're also having to be careful about, just around the regulatory, issues around AI, some of the legal risks of using AI. So bigger companies do have to have a bit of caution when jumping in, I think, with AI because of that. But it's still all very exciting, and it's an exciting time to be a technologist. And I'd say I wasn't so much feeling that over the past few years, and I'm feeling definitely re-energized around it.
Fantastic. Shujat, take us home.
A big plus one. I think I come from a space where there's constantly unbiasing, catching biases. Right? That's part of like what the work I do. And what I sort of hate is every time you go talk to someone about this, they will tell you 90 reasons why this is wrong and 1,000 biases in it. And we're like, that's great, but think about if you played with it, and thing is, it learns, you can train it. You have a personal coach. When you add what other technologies that are coming in, quantum computing, stuff that's going to scale this, you don't only have a personal coach, you have a whole personal, war machine, if you want to, at your disposal. You can do way more than trying to criticize it. So I would say, be critical, but play with this, right? Play is going to be the great play for you.
That's excellent. What I've heard from you all, one, more upside than there is risk and downside. Two, the future is being created as we speak. And there's really, you got to play around with it and really feel it. And there's no barrier to learn, is what I'm hearing from you all. So I would say my parting thoughts would be, one, thank you all for doing the amazing work that you're doing, and keep on creating the really amazing businesses and take your ideas even further. It sounds like it's the opportunity to do that now, and the future is yours to shape. So go get them. And thank you so much, Cheryl, Heroikka, Shujat, for sharing this wisdom. I learned a ton. I'm sure the audience appreciates it. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Giselle.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you, Giselle, for moderating this great panel. As many of you know, Heroikka is a digital platform that connects women's projects, ideas, and needs with global networks and social capital. And Heroikka works with companies, government agencies, and professionals to make projects created by women more sustainable. And thanks to these collaborations, we are able to provide access to mentoring, visibility, and economic opportunities for members of the Heroikka community, including the organization of this summit. We bring exposure to the story behind your project. So you can imagine the following section is very special to all of us, since the projects selected from the open call at Heroikka will pitch their ideas, businesses, and initiatives to all of you. So Astrid Kamprubi, CEO and co-founder at Omma Data, and Micah Hill, founder at Heroikka, will introduce all these amazing women.
Thank you, Pino. Hi, Astrid. How are you?
Hi, all. Super well. Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
Really nice meeting you. So this is how this dynamic is going to work. I'm going to be asking one question to Astrid, and we're going to be introducing the amazing women entrepreneurs that are in our network. We have a huge representation from Spain, Macedonia, and also Africa. Yeah, I see it here. So the first question that I want to ask you, Astrid, is why did you decide to start Omma Data? You are one of these women that our panels have been talking about that decided to go with data. So why did you decide to do this?
Well, Micah, actually, I'm not a tech profile. My background is like business management. So I've been always dealing with data. So I was suffering from this pain in my own daily basis work. So once I met my co-founders, that they had already they are tech profiles, and they realized how important will be data from now on. We realized that the gap that we were experiencing in our daily basis work was the quality of the data. So that's the main reason why we decided to explore and find a collaboration with, in that case, was PepsiCo Europe, a real case in a real company worldwide, to see this market fit. And we were lucky. We realized that data is important, but moreover, it's quality. So we went for it, and we are now in the market and working with global customers around the world.
Thank you. So that's a great introduction to present our first pitch. It's actually from Sheila Elorm Eni, and she's the CEO at We Soy Company Limited.
Thank you for having me at this year's Woman Impact Summit, and to also present on my project. My name is Sheila Elorm Eni, and the CEO of We Soy Company Limited. We Soy is a social enterprise that is into the production of healthy, nutritious, and affordable breakfast cereals. We use grains like maize, sorghum, brown rice, millet, peanuts, tiger nut in producing these great products. We have options for lactating mothers who want to boost breast milk production, and we have also options for mothers who also want to introduce their babies to solids. We have options for diabetic patients and people who are lactose intolerant. All our products are certified by Food and Drugs Authority. Our production process supports 4 of the SDG goals. And the first one is SDG goal number 1, which is no poverty. We are very intentional in purchasing our product or our raw materials from small-scale female farmers and women wholesalers. We do this, it gives these women one single point of purchase where they bring their raw materials or produce, and we purchase it at a fair price, empowering them financially to take care of themselves and that of their families. The second one, that is SDG goal number 2, which is no hunger. We Soy was born observing how difficult it was for the vulnerable communities' mothers to purchase nutritious meals for their babies. And we sought to bridge that gap by producing highly nutritious and affordable cereals for the community, and not just for the babies, but for the family, for their families as well. The third and the fourth SDG goals that we support is also SDG goal number 5 and 8. That is gender equality and decent work. We have realized that a lot of young women go unemployed due to various issues they face in their lives. One of such reasons is education. And so We Soy is intentional in employing these young ladies to make our staff strength predominantly females, not just to boost production as it were, but to also give them decent work and salary to take care of themselves. We started our production in 2020, and even with COVID-19 and a small number of 4, we were able to achieve our annual target of that. Our annual revenue was $4,502. In 2021, our sales increased to $10,423. In 2022, we realized a total revenue of $27,234. This year, we plan to do $40,000, and by third quarter, we have already achieved that target. We are here seeking for a funding support of $40,650 to purchase equipment to produce high quality products and to reduce our production cycle from 3 days to some few hours, to also brand our pouches to meet international standard, and also purchase raw materials to meet the increasing demand of our products. We believe that when we receive these funds, increase in production and products will demand that we increase our staff strength, thereby creating jobs for these young ladies who comes in every now and then seeking for job. Our vision is to produce highly nutritious and affordable foods for the rural and urban communities. Thank you for having me. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Sheila. I mean, it's unbelievable. I was checking the stats the other day, and it's true. 71% of the women that decide to start a project is because they want to make a difference in their communities. I think that Sheila is a perfect example of this. Astrid, getting back to you, and because I always get super emotional and inspired to see all these women that trust us, you know, to give them this window to share their projects and give visibility to the work that they're doing. What challenges have you been, you know, facing lately with your company?
Actually, as you can imagine, as a CEO, every day is a challenge, and I think is one of the things that we most like of being CEOs of a startup. But the reality is, in terms of macroeconomics, we are facing a recession. So this is even harder for tiny companies such as OMA. The good part is that as tiny companies, we can move faster. So I always try to see the positive part of the challenges. Let me share my recipe. And I always say that it's really important for me to train your brain and train emotions. Because if we are going to run a marathon, we will be trained and we will be training to be prepared. So any challenge that we are facing as CEOs in our companies must be with a good training in an overall like perspective, let's say.
For sure, and for that reason, I think that we're also gonna love this next project. Is related to art, and it's a good way to train our good moods all the time. And for this reason, I wanna introduce now to Ludi Adelino, producer and founder at Wilsum. Welcome, Ludi.
Hello there, how are you? Thank you so much. Yo la presentación, I'm going to do it in Spanish because I already prepared and to do it in Spanish. So I'm going to share you, os voy a compartir la presentación que he hecho. ¿Lo veis bien? Vale, continúo. Bueno, para empezar, mi nombre es Ludi Adelino, soy productora y técnica de sensibilización. También soy fundadora de Wilsum. Wilsum viene siendo una galería de arte hasta 2020, cuando empezó la pandemia. Nos vimos obligadas a cerrar la galería, a reinventarnos, y fue en ese momento en el que nació Wilsum como productora, ¿no? Que trabaja y organiza eventos para sensibilizar sobre otras realidades que existen. Y también ahora mismo, poco a poco, nos estamos abriendo camino en la producción de documentales y en la facilitación de talleres para diferentes programas. Normalmente estoy yo trabajando dependiendo del proyecto, la cantidad de trabajo, somos más o somos menos, así funciona siempre. Y en este caso estamos, siempre los que estamos más o menos son Mari Carmen, aquí en Barcelona, Lucrecia Bell en Roma, y Omar Yatta, que está en Casamance, en Senegal. Y nuestra misión principalmente es lo que comentaba antes, generar conciencias y crear espacios multiculturales que fomenten el intercambio, la colaboración, la investigación y también el aprendizaje. Eso es nuestra visión principal. Nuestra misión viene del impacto positivo, ¿no? Social y también en educar. Y desde el principio, como veníamos trabajando siendo una galería de arte, que es el tema de empoderar a las mujeres, ¿no? En este caso, resumiendo, yo diría que lo que hacemos es efectivamente para el impacto positivo social, educar y también como facilitar esas herramientas para que las personas tengan todas esas herramientas que necesitan para poder llevar a cabo y crear esas oportunidades que normalmente no llegan, ¿no? Nuestras áreas de trabajo y servicios son varias, las enumero uno por uno. Están los eventos, que aquí nos adaptamos siempre a las necesidades de nuestros colaboradores o clientes. Somos muy creativas también, así que muchas veces por nuestra propia cuenta organizamos eventos y proyectos sociales. Las exposiciones, como venía contando antes, venimos siendo una galería de arte, con lo que las exposiciones como que de alguna forma es parte de nuestra esencia. Y esto lo que hace es que cuando montamos una exposición no solamente brindamos y mostramos arte y cultura, sino que nos permite también investigar y explorar para ir mucho más allá, ¿no? De lo que solamente se puede ver. Después están los talleres, que aquí siempre nos vienen de la mano peticiones de diferentes entidades, organizaciones, empresas, programas de colegios también. Y ahora estamos abriendo camino con nuevas iniciativas como son las residencias, actividades de sensibilización, que son diferentes programas, y las formaciones. Las formaciones son tanto aquí en Europa como en África, en diferentes países, en este caso Guinea-Bissau y Senegal. Nuestra identidad en nuestro sector yo creo que nos diferencia muchísimo, ¿no? Está primero Wilson Magazine, que es como una magazine web que tenemos, que podéis encontrar en nuestra página web. Las obras que vendemos de las exposiciones, la mayoría las volvemos a invertir en los proyectos sociales que queremos llevar a cabo. Y después están los art points, que vienen siendo los encuentros, las residencias, los bootcamps que hacemos de forma interna como externa, ¿no? Que hacemos y ofrecemos. Dentro de todo esto hemos llevado a cabo, la verdad, muchas actividades desde finales de 2018 hasta ahora. Hemos colaborado con diferentes entidades. Todas estas actividades, eventos y proyectos lo podéis encontrar también en nuestra página web. Lo comparto para que se tenga en cuenta. Y bueno, viene la parte interesante, digamos, que en parte eso es como lo que nos ha motivado, ¿no? A poder participar en este evento maravilloso que hacéis, por la cual también os agradecemos muchísimo abrir este tipo de espacio para networking y poder conectar y colaborar. Actualmente estamos buscando colaboradores y financiadores para poder llevar a cabo los siguientes programas en los que nos estamos abriendo camino, que el primero es la realización de los programas de formación, que son tanto aquí en Europa, como comenté antes, como en África. Después las residencias, la realización de documentales para contar esas historias que nos inspiran, ¿no? Y también los programas de sensibilización. Así que esto es todo sobre Wilson. Yo soy Ludia Delino y muchísimas gracias por escucharme, por vuestro tiempo. Ha sido un placer.
Gracias, Ludi. Thank you, Ludi. Astrid, as you can see, you know, all women entrepreneurs, we have the same issues. We tend to always look for funding. And I wanted to ask you, how are you doing with funding? Did you start at bootstrapping?
Actually, it's a super great topic, Maika, because this is my fourth startup. And another thing that I had clear, it was that I will try to build up something from scratch without funding. Because at the end, what I learned from my previous experiences was that at one point, you as a CEO suddenly lose absolutely your focus in what you are doing and why you are doing it. because you are just focusing in funding, and it becomes your first priority because you need to pay salaries. So in this project we started from scratch, from the beginning, building up a project that was sustainable itself in two ways. The first one, in its own structure. So in terms of salaries and all the costs, we needed to build it up little by little. And in the other hand, in a healthy way, bootstrapping, like looking for customers. Obviously, nowadays, after 3 years, we are scaling up, and obviously the velocity and speed up of this project, it's crucial. And that's the main reason why we start now looking for private funds. But we've been 2 years focusing just in closing deals. So my suggestion here will be, if possible, just focus on your commercial side rather than in funding part.
That's why I'm super excited about listening to our next speech from Nesreen Akin, CEO at the Beamcron. Is another tech company. Hi, Nesreen.
Hi, Michael. And I totally agree with you about funding. Investment is our biggest issue. We couldn't find right investment and with the right valuation, actually. It's biggest our issue also. Thank you for opportunity. I want to start my presentation. I am Nesrin. I am software engineer. I am very high technical person. This is our product. We have developed with my partner, with my husband, Sinan. Sinan is a civil engineer. We have started Beamcron because of the problem in the construction industry. Actually, I was working on software industry, and when we diagnosed the problem, so the construction industry, we said we have to do something about this industry, because construction industry huge effect on sustainability. And I want to show you some statistics from the industry. Unproductiveness rate is almost half of the process is going west, and 75% of project is completed on over budget or over time, and only the industry has responsible 39% of carbon footprint all of the world. We focused this problem, and we have developed Beamcron. Beamcron is a digital twin solution. We are creating digital twin of every type of project. It doesn't matter for us. It can be hospital, metro, or hotel, or residential project. We are creating digital twin at the beginning of the project. At the design planning phase, we are integrating all of the data, and we can show what is your risk, how you can prevent about these risks. And also we are making projections, simulations, and on the construction phase, we are making a comparison, both of them. What was your plan? What is actual, as a budget, as a 3D model, and also as a schedule. We can integrate all of the data, and we are planning to keep these data to the demolition site. If you want to demolish a building, you are getting huge waste. How we can manage these waste? Because of this, we need to keep these data updated. This is our benefits from our simulations and also our customers. Construction industry has huge decarbonization level is so low. Because of that, we can create huge effects on the industry. We can use digital twin technology, and we can get huge effect on the industry. We are working B2B, and we are providing unlimited user license for per project, and we are working with SaaS. Construction industry, as I mentioned before, has a low level of digitalization, lowest, but because of that, software industry, construction software market is a little bit small, but construction industry is huge. every country, every country, construction industry, one of the biggest industry. Because of that, we are thinking it's huge market, and we have competitors all over the world. And I want to mention, this is, I think it is important, all of our competitors is a unicorn for now. And we have different, we have huge differentiation from our competitors. We are focusing digital twin of buildings. We are life cycle of buildings. We are keeping all of the data, and we are creating collaboration collaboration platform for all of the users. As I mentioned before, I am a software engineer. My husband and also my partner Sinan, civil engineer, and he has 22 years construction experience. And Mustafa, the other founder, we has been selected one of the most successful startup in the Turkey last year, and we have had a chance to make a presentation on Plug and Play, and we has been selected as a United Nations one of the digital solution for construction industry. We have paid customers, and also actually we came here as bootstrapping. We have paid customers. We are profitable now, and we are looking for investment to expand our market, expand our customer base. We has been founded in Turkey. We have teams in Turkey, Ankara, and Istanbul, and also we got an invitation from UK government to Global Entrepreneurship Program. And just only 2 months ago, we just moved to UK, and we have opened our first office in Cambridge. Thank you for listening to me.
Nasreen, thank you so much. I didn't want to assume, but I knew that you were coming from Turkey. I have friends as well with the same name, but thank you so much for bringing and creating a company that brings technology into construction. So thank you so much for all your work.
Thank
and Astrid, before we continue, I want to introduce our next speaker and project. Is Natalie Ristovka. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, co-founder at Jova.
Yeah, thank you. Just a moment, I would like to share my screen. Okay, let me know when you can see the screen.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here and have a chance to present my brand. I'm co-founder and creative director and ethical lifecycle advisor of Jova. Jova is a brand that is good for the planet and for the people. We handmade bags with zero waste, and our products are made by single moms. Do you know that every 25 minutes, an Olympic-sized pool of oil is used just to make synthetic clothing? Actually, all of us are swimming on the waste and on oil. While fast fashion industry is linear, it's greenwashing, it's polluting, produce huge amount of waste, it's abusive and cruel, we eco-design for product circularity. We handmade bags with zero waste by carefully selecting what kind of materials are made our bags and what is going to happen in the end of the product life cycle. So we believe that everything should come from the ground and should end up in the ground. We also preserve crafts in our community, and our products are made by single moms and other women that are coming from vulnerable categories. In the end, the customer is getting a unique design. We have circular, ethical, and transparent life cycle. In terms of market, this year, the ethical fashion market worth is $8.39 billion. Each year, it grows by 15%, while only 1% belong to bags. Our sum for the following 5 years is to reach 480K. Our early adopters are women, conscious consumer that have ethical lifestyle, minimal style. They are between 25 and 44 years old. They like unique pieces and handcrafted designs. What differentiates us from our competitors is our transparency and our ethical life cycle that we strongly communicate that through our social media channels. Also, we work from women that are coming from vulnerable categories, and we preserve crafts in our community. Because we are different, because we also have social and local impact. In terms of revenue streams, we use two different models, B2C, which means we sell directly to our customers through our e-commerce site, and B2B. For B2B, we have different strategies: affiliate marketing, retail partnership, brand collaboration, and we are presenting our products on fair and pop-up markets. In terms of financial projection, the first year we are expecting to have a revenue of 1,000K. The second year we believe it can be double, but the third year we expect to be the first stable year in our company, because we are expecting return customers, more focusing on B2C model, and also to introduce more lines of products. While traditional business model invests 60% in stock investment and R&D, we start cut 50% of this money because we work with sustainable business model. In this case, we save time, money, material, labor, and energy, because we work with pre-order business model, which means we sell before we make. We have revenue, and then we don't have any waste. The co-founder of this brand are me and my sister. We were inspired actually by our grandma, which is coming the name of this brand, Yova. I started knitting 20 years ago. And in the past 10 years, I have been working as a sustainability expert in focus on 3D knitting technology in Italy, Milan. My sister is working as a marketing and customer relationship manager for fashion industry in American market. Valentina is my right hand, and she's knitting she's all of her life. And she is the product developer in our brand. And she has been knitting in the past 10 years for Loewe, the Spanish brand. While our consultants are Biljana Poslovska and Patrick Rudzinski. Biljana Poslovska is head of e-commerce. She has been working for 10 years as a head of e-commerce for Carhu shoe brand. And Patrick Rudzinski is our finance and business strategist. And he has been working for ING in Amsterdam for developing platforms for startups and e-businesses. So now we raised 70K, 40K from accelerator program that we are part of now. And we also have grant for 30K from Fund for Innovation in Macedonia. And now we are asking for 30K more in order to reach our goal in the following 15 months, which is 116K. We are going to use 10% in research and development, 30% in human resources, and 60% in marketing and sales. I would like to invite you to join this journey to turn the fashion industry more sustainable together with you. What we are asking is funding, but also we are searching for, let's say, sales agents, and also to be part of this kind of community of fashion sustainable market in Europe and also abroad. Thank you so much for your attention.
Natalie, thank you so much for the work that you do and for your lovely business. As I mentioned earlier, we tend to create more women around the world. We tend to create our businesses and businesses that create a difference in our communities. So thank you for doing that. I want to introduce next our last business that is Umoa Cosmetics, and I would like to introduce Mafalda Soto. She's a social entrepreneur and CEO at Umoa Cosmetics. Maybe I will talk to Astrid, just in case Mafalda is not able to get connected.
Yeah, typically because we were connected previously. Let's give her maybe 1 minute.
For sure. Astrid, you have seen that we have here projects and businesses of different types. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you is, one of the things that you will ask the community, what would you ask the community to maybe help out your business or the businesses that you're seeing here today?
It's an amazing question, Micah. Actually, it will be more an invitation that I, in first place, ask my own, because sometimes it's hard to be women leading companies. This topic is kind of starts being something that we every day hear once and again, but we need to join forces in order to be stronger. Sometimes this feeling of being underestimated or the willingness to do more in order to be considered, it's easier if we do it together. So just join forces and try to reinforce this network that, for example, Heroikka is helping us to create.
Thank you so much, Astrid. I think that Mafalda is here now.
See, yes. Sorry, I was not invited before as a panelist, but I'm here now.
Okay, great. So please share with us Umoa Cosmetics.
Great, thank you very much. My name is Mafalda Soto, and I'm gonna switch into Spanish. Soy farmacéutica y emprendedora social, vengo del tercer sector y estuve trabajando también desde hace 15 años en proyectos de fotoprotección y cuidado de la piel en personas sensibles. Y hoy vengo a presentar nuestro proyecto, un MOAC que es Care to Care, que es cosmética natural, eficaz y con propósito. Y Umoa nace para rebelarse frente a las formas de diversidad distinta. Este concepto que nosotros hemos acuñado es que al final, desgraciadamente, existen formas de diversidad distintas, formas de diversidad que parecen no responder a los cánones de aceptación y a las tendencias dictadas por nuestra sociedad. Nuestro recorrido se va en el tiempo hasta el año 2008, en el que empezamos a trabajar en África, empezamos en Malawi y en Tanzania, a trabajar con las personas con albinismo, una forma de diversidad realmente no aceptada, que por razones de discriminación y por una prevalencia del cáncer de piel muy alta, hace que las personas con albinismo no vivan más allá de los 30 años. 9 de cada 10 fallecen antes de los 30 años, principalmente debido al cáncer de piel. Entonces, bueno, allí empezamos a trabajar, descubrimos la realidad en 2008. En el año 2011 en Tanzania montamos el primer laboratorio de fabricación local de fotoprotectores pensados para la prevención de cáncer en las personas con albinismo, proyecto que fue creciendo mucho hasta que establecimos nuestra ONG Beyond Sun Care en 2017, acuñada y reconocida como mejor práctica por las Naciones Unidas. Y al final, después de nuestro recorrido, buscamos una herramienta, una línea de negocio que contribuyese a la sostenibilidad de Beyond Sun Care. Y al final nos dimos cuenta que el trabajo de dermatólogos, farmacéuticos durante tantos años con pieles sensibles, realmente sabíamos del conocimiento de la piel, sabíamos de cosmética y sabíamos que las personas quieren contribuir. Y esto es la semilla del nacimiento de Umoa. Umoa es Care to Care y es cosmética que al mismo tiempo que cuida se...
Mafalda, sorry, you are on mute. Yes.
Yes. Just now o también antes? Solo ahora. Okay.
Last minute. Yeah.
Ok, a la ONG Beyond Sun Care destinamos el 10% de nuestros beneficios a la ONG Beyond Sun Care, a la vez que creamos visibilidad de las formas de diversidad no aceptadas. Umoa es cosmética natural al 99%, totalmente vegana, de eficacia testada y avalada por laboratorios especializados en estudios clínicos e instrumentales, pero sobre todo es cosmética con propósito, porque al mismo tiempo que cuidas de ti, estás cuidando a otra persona más vulnerable. Nuestro impacto no solamente es social, sino medioambiental. Trabajamos con laboratorio certificado por Zero Waste, cuyo modelo energético utiliza el 100% de energías renovables y también reutilizamos el agua empleada en los procesos de fabricación. Tenemos una filosofía de no plastic, trabajamos packaging en vidrio y en aluminio y utilizamos papel y cartón proveniente de bosques gestionados de manera responsable, y al final nuestra propuesta de valor es cosmética natural, vegana, honesta. Tenemos unos claims avalados por estudios certificados y made in Spain, aunque hacemos shipping, distribuimos en toda Europa. y con un retail price muy justo, entre los 13 euros de nuestra crema de manos a los 36 euros del serum antioxidante. Hemos lanzado con productos y estamos trabajando un nuevo lanzamiento, pero sobre todo es esta cosmética con propósito que cuida de ti mientras cuidas de una persona más vulnerable, ya que trabajamos con las personas con albinismo en África y nos unimos a un movimiento que tiene una visión de una sociedad inclusiva que celebra y acepta toda forma de diversidad. Tenemos una prueba de concepto con una aceptación muy buena, con unas rankings, si queréis entrar en nuestra web, de 4,97 sobre 5, con un Instagram muy activo y bueno, estamos creando notoriedad, pero todavía la competencia es muy alta y necesitamos más notoriedad, más tracking de ventas. Y bueno, la última slide quería aprovecharla para hablar un poco de nuestro equipo. Trabajamos con una logística formada por 90% de personas con discapacidad. En el equipo estamos ingenieros farmacéuticos y comunicadores. Trabajamos con la Academia Española de Dermatología y dermatólogos del International Foundation of Dermatology. Y para terminar, pues de cara al futuro, al crecimiento, estamos también abriendo una nueva ronda de financiación, principalmente para impulsar el tracking de ventas y también un nuevo lanzamiento de un serum anti-aging que queremos lanzar. Necesitamos también, para los que estáis en el mercado europeo, customers, cada vez las marcas con propósito, el consumo sostenible, el consumo consciente está más en boga, o sea que os invitamos a sumaros porque merece mucho la pena. Y luego también nuevos puntos de venta. Nuestro objetivo era empezar con ventas 100% online, crear la legitimidad de la marca, y ahora estamos empezando con puntos de ventas a lo largo y ancho de España, pero también creo que somos un producto muy atractivo para LATAM y estamos trabajando en la traducción y los packaging en inglés, porque creemos que es un producto que tendrá mucha atracción en otros países europeos. Y nada, muchísimas gracias por dejarnos participar en este summit tan especial y mandamos un abrazo a todas las emprendedoras y luchadoras que estáis aquí compartiendo este rato con nosotros, y a las organizadoras por darnos la oportunidad de estar hoy aquí.
Thank you, Mafalda. We really appreciate your work. And I also want to say thank you to Sheila, Ludi, Nesrin, Natalie, and you, of course. And Astrid, thank you so much for being my partner in crime, presenting these amazing Heroikkas. Remember, Heroikka is your village because it takes a village to raise funding, to create a business, and to get support. So thank you to all of you. Hi, Pino.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Astrid and Micah. It's a pleasure to see all the great work that all these women are doing. They are also inspiring. So we continue now with the workshop. The workshop is Venture Capital Right for Your Business: How to Chart Your Own Path to Profit and Impact, by Alicia Balde, founder at the Venture Catalyst. Hi, Alicia.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
Good. Welcome.
Thank you. Am I ready to roll? Can I take it from here?
Yes.
Perfect. Give me 1 second. Whoop. Okay, let me share my screen. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for having me today. I'm very excited to be here and to talk about this topic. And I just want to applaud also all the businesses that just presented and congratulate you on all the work that you've been doing so far and all that you all have been able to accomplish. Some very inspiring companies there. And to the people that are here in the audience, I'm excited to kind of walk you through the conversation that we're going to have today, which is venture capital right for your business? How to chart your own path to profit and impact. So before I jump in, I would love to just ask the audience, How many of you are considering raising venture capital? And you can just drop into the chat, I'm considering it, I'm maybe in the future, I'm actively fundraising. Kind of give me a sense of where you're at with your fundraising process. Considering. Not sure. Okay, perfect. Considering it. Nope. Right on. I love it when you're clear. Considering it. Perfect. Considering. Awesome. Not yet. Maybe in the future. Perfect. So I think this is then going to be perfect for a lot of you that are not sure, maybe thinking about it. Maybe it's kind of further out in your timeline. My goal here today is to really just give you some foundational tips and kind of like a mental framework that you can work with to help you prepare yourself for growth for your business. Especially if you're considering capital, but it could also be if you are considering other forms of capital. So I will go ahead and just jump right in and give you a little bit of context about who I am and how I got here. I am originally from California, the SF Bay Area. I started off, I didn't start here, but as far as this story is relevant, I worked for a US State Department initiative called Lions Africa, where I was supporting African technology companies that landed into Silicon Valley. We did everything from helping them get access to funding, partnerships, mentorship, you name it. I then started my own business, a different consulting company focusing on animation, video games, and comic books in Nigeria. From there, I did some strategy consulting for a global management consulting company. And then I started working at a venture fund. And I share all of this to say that I've sat at all of these different intersections of business growth. And so my perspective on what it takes to grow is rooted in, my experience being a founder. I'm running my own business now. And also playing an active role in supporting both ecosystem building and, specifically on the investment side. And so my goal with my current work is to help mission-driven founders chart their own path by turning their personal mission into profit and impact. Some, I guess, less professional things about me. I am a polyglot, so I'm loving hearing all the Spanish. I wish I was caught up. I am working on it, though. I'm currently living in Costa Rica, so I've been an expat for almost exactly a year and 2 months now, living abroad. And so who do I serve? I help mission-driven founders, and those are founders who feel a really strong inner drive to create positive social change. They're committed to their mission. And, I think a lot of the companies that we just saw present are really big indicators of that, right? Like they're like, how do we move society forward with our business? They're highly ambitious and have a big vision for what's possible. And they're invested in seeing their company and movement grow. And I call it a movement because when you're trying to create this kind of change, you're having to mobilize people, even if it's through sales, right? So just intellectually kind of encompassing that into the way that we think about it. And so this is what I help founders solve for. There's your business goals, and then there's kind of this messy middle of how do I grow, right? There's typically one of two paths. You're either going to just organically grow your business through sales, or you're going to bring in some kind of capital. And we heard from some of the founders here, their journey to fundraising and kind of what that experience has been like and how they unlock capital. So my goal is to help mission-driven founders unlock capital so they can accelerate their growth and their impact. So at this point, kind of with that context in mind, where I'm going to jump into this conversation is probably a little bit unconventional, right? We're going to talk about how you should start considering whether or not venture capital is right for you, but I'm going to start at the very, very beginning. And I'll start off with this question. What is one of the least discussed barriers to business growth in your point of view? And I'll even go back to this slide, right? Like there's here's all of the things that you can use to grow your business. And then there's your fundamental goals. But if I could just get a show in the chat, what do you guys think is one of the least discussed barriers to business growth? Anything will go. We could do financing, sure, yeah. Funds, okay. IPO, all right. Customer service, yes, talking to your customers, mentorship, financing. Financing is always a big one. Logistics, knowledge and confidence, education and mentorship, technology, distribution, amazing. Time management, people, leadership, managing the quality, human capital, lots of really great answers here. And some of you were starting to hit on where I'm going to guide this conversation today. And it's about the lack of personal conviction. Now, you might be reading that and thinking like, how is that the biggest barrier to business growth? Let me show you. What is conviction, first of all? Lots of people use the word confidence. This is not confidence. Conviction is a strong and deep level of belief or commitment, often in a principle, value, or particular course of action. It goes beyond mere confidence and implies a resolute determination and commitment, unshaken by challenges or opposition. So all of this to say, it's really about the founder, you, the founder, having conviction in yourself, right? And recognizing like, hey, what I'm doing, I know what I'm doing, basically, right? So this lack of founder conviction is something that I've seen through working at funds, through my consulting work. And I want to show you guys how it impacts different areas of your business and why it's so fundamental to address this first, even before you start thinking about fundraising or any type of business growth. So on the fundraising side, a couple of ways I've seen it play out. One way is when you're approaching investors, you're pitching your company as something that is less visionary. What does that mean? It means you're talking about your business in a way that is small, right? That's kind of like, here's what we're doing. It kind of fits in this particular market. And maybe you're still using big numbers, but you're not talking about your business and the full potential of what it is. A more concrete example that I can give you is I was working with a founder and she had already raised $4 million to run her venture-backed business. And we were having this conversation and she wanted to raise $1 million for it. The more we got into her business, the more we talked about the type of her personal expertise and kind of thought leadership in the ecosystem, what she's already been able to achieve, the number of corporate clients she already had, and the competitiveness in the space. The more we kind of got into the deepness, the depths of her business, the more I was able to say to her, look, if you are really trying to dominate the space with your business and you're trying to dominate market share, you need to be much, much more aggressive. And so we went from her, having a conversation of like, let's raise $1 million to like, no, you actually need to be raising like 10 million, right? 12 million, something in that range. I mean, we were talking about it at a high level, we would get more specific numbers, but just that fundamental shift in like, hey, if you're really trying to do this and you're trying to do this in a way that's venture backed, there is a bit of like, you have to be aggressive. And then the other part of it is kind of downplaying yourself. So in that particular case, she was a subject matter expert in a very nascent emerging technology space. And in all of her deck presentations, you didn't see any of that. Like she did not really articulate who she really was for the industry. And then another piece of that is like diluting or watering down your goals because you think they are too big. I think, when we start to talk about what we really want, it can be a little bit daunting. And we also don't want to get, people to reject us of like, hey, you're thinking too big. But what I often find is, especially if you're thinking about raising money, this is the time and the space to be like, this is my big vision for what's possible. This is what I want to achieve. So that's kind of just to give you a picture of like how that plays out in the fundraising side. But it also impacts just your general business strategy. And here's a couple of ways I see this play out. I often see founders will sometimes start fundraising when instead they should be just selling, right? And what fundraising does, obviously fundraising you need as a catalyst to grow your business. But for mission-driven founders in particular, who are typically advocates, who are typically like, hey, we need to make this change, right? They're typically more on the advocate side of things. When you ask them to start selling, when you ask them to start marketing, when you ask them to start really like shifting the conversation to give me money, some founders get really stuck there. And it's totally understandable because sales is a skill set and it's also a mindset. And so if you haven't been brought up with that background, if you don't have that, haven't gotten that visibility in your past, whether professionally or through your education, it's totally understandable that that would be the case. But I see a lot of founders getting stuck with their business growth because they're avoiding doing some things that are uncomfortable, right? And doing some things that really expose you, because you're like, hey, I'm actively putting myself out there to say, give me money to do this thing. And that could look in very different ways. But then, like I said, I sometimes find people will be fundraising because they're like, hey, I need to kind of continue to float my business, when it's like, well, no, let's actually just generate more revenue for your business and figure out why you're struggling with doing that. And another piece is kind of like in addition to this is avoiding stepping into your authority as a thought leader. A lot of times as a founder, you are the subject matter expert. You are the person that is the most qualified to be doing what you're doing. But it does take some confidence and some conviction in yourself to say, like, I am the authority here, right? My business is my ecosystem. I make the rules here. We figure out, how things should look. And there's a switch that really has to happen within the founder to step into that. And I find that when founders do that, it changes kind of the potential of what growth opportunities are available in front of them. And then the last piece here is, when you're avoiding all of these things, it means you're spending time on things that aren't actually growing your business. And then your time is just wasted. You're taking longer to grow your business, and you kind of are in this kind of stuck state. Another way that it impacts your business is that when you're operating from a place of not being convicted in your vision for your business, it means you're often following the crowd. And so an example that I have from a founder that I was advising was they were going through a number of accelerator programs. They were talking about, I'm going to be I have the possibility to raise $1 million to do X, Y, Z. And all of that's really amazing, right? Like these programs exist for a reason. But when we looked at the core of their business, they actually, especially for consumer goods businesses, they were basically holding themselves back from growing because they were doing all of these things that were programmatic instead of just getting their product in front of the market, right? They had the funding that they would have needed, or they already had the capital to be able to get some of their product into the market. And they could have just gone about getting that momentum and continuing to grow from that perspective. But when I was speaking with this founder and I was like, hey, why don't you just like pre-sell some things? Let's get some cash flow in the door and start moving from there. There was a lot of resistance. They were like, well, we're already in these programs and like we want to continue moving forward. And I could just see that there is a fear, and it's totally understandable, but there is a real fear that comes with stepping out and building your business in the way that's best for your business to be built based on what you want to achieve. And so all of these things are very, very understandable. And at the same time, they do contract your business and its ability to grow. So I kind of walked you through a couple of examples of what the lack of founder conviction can do to constrain your business. There's some other ways that it impacts what you're doing also. It impacts how you show up. It impacts how you talk about what you do. It impacts the type of opportunities that you open yourself up to. It impacts what you say yes or no to and the kinds of partners you can attract. So it really permeates through your whole business. And I think, again, it's one of those things that we don't talk about because it's assumed like, hey, you need financing, you need all of these things. But it really does come down to how much conviction do you have in your ability to do this? Because it does have like a ripple effect. And I'll show you why. Conviction is a word that I learned when I was doing my first position at a venture fund. I was like, why is everybody running around using the word conviction? It was conviction this, conviction that. And the way that this was a traditional venture generalist fund. And so I was one of very few women at the fund. And so it was a lot of these guys, and they're running around and talking about like these companies that they've found and why they think that the general partners should say like, yes, let's write a check. And, the way that a lot of these funds are structured is that you have to have consensus within the fund. And so in order for an investor to invest, they need to be able to prove to the rest of the people within the fund, hey, this is not only a good fit for our portfolio, but has the potential to 10x what the money that we can make. And so if you are approaching an investor and you aren't transferring that level of conviction to them, they will pass because they are going to look for someone who can really clearly communicate and explain to them and help them see a vision for what's possible with fundraising. Now, I use that example for a venture fund. It is a little bit different when you're talking to angel investors, but that energy still, it plays a big role in kind of getting that momentum within the fund that you are the right pick for them to invest in. So, okay, that was a lot about why this matters. Where do we go from here? So I think the point that I really want to leave you all with is that the most effective growth strategy is to step into your personal authority. That means owning your expertise. That means owning your experience. That means owning your journey. That just means owning everything about why you're doing what you're doing, and then make moves from that place. And this is a practice, right? Like this is, again, getting into more of the inner work, but this is a practice. And, once you start to make moves from this place, what happens is you expand the realm of opportunities, you expand the realm of ideas, you start to have bolder ideas, or bolder ideas start, to get presented to you. And then you have just like increased capacity, increased clarity, increased vision, all of which really accelerate what's possible for your business. So step number one, before you even start thinking about fundraising, and if you're running a business and considering like what's the next step, the first step is just step into your authority as the very first thing. So step number two is to own what you want. This is critical. And I think, there's a couple of founders that kind of articulated this before I hopped on. And so I was really glad to hear it because I really want to reinforce this message. Venture capital has become a status symbol in the business community. It's now kind of like, if you've raised money, you get this TechCrunch article, or, like, oh, I'm successful because I've been able to raise X number of dollars from investors, right? And for some founders, it's become the goal. They're like, I'm doing this so that I can raise money, or like, I'm building this whole business so I can raise venture capital, which is a very backwards way of thinking about this, because venture capital is a tool, it's a means to an end. And then the other thing that doesn't get nearly discussed as often as it should is that venture capital is capital that has intent and it has expectations. I'll talk about that a little bit on the next slide, but I'll just quickly address that it's not a grant, right? It's not free money. It's ownership in your business. Ownership means control. Control means so people have a say in the direction of your business, which ties into the next point, which is it can catalyze or derail your business from its original mission. And I think there was even someone who just mentioned this as well in the last session. If your business model is aligned for venture capital, it will accelerate it through the roof. If your business model and your mission are not directly correlated to each other, generating or raising venture capital can have your business move in a way that's more revenue driven and away from your mission. And then you start to, you don't start to recognize your business. You're kind of like, this isn't even what I started to do or what I wanted to do in the first place. And then the reality is most businesses are not venture backable anyways. I think this is just like a hard truth, but not a hard truth. It's a hard truth because I think people are so attached to the idea of venture capital, but it's not a hard truth because it means there's so many other ways that you can build a business, especially in a way that feels, that resonates with what you're trying to do. So you can see on the image on the right here, this, in blue, you have the companies that don't access venture capital, which is like pretty much everything. And then you have pink, which is companies that access VC but don't reach venture scale. You might be able to see the little dot down at the bottom, and then you don't even see the black because that's a representation of how few companies raise venture capital and reach that $1 billion valuation. I break all of this down in much more detail in an article that's on my website. It's called How to Determine if Venture Capital is Right for Your Business. It's more of a think piece about, the realities of venture capital and why mission-driven founders are attracted to it, but why it's not always most in alignment for what you're trying to do. So, like I mentioned, there are options. And I use the term lifestyle business here, and it doesn't even really accurately reflect I think, the pool of businesses, but for the sake of the example, we'll call them lifestyle businesses. So you have lifestyle businesses, and then you have venture-backed businesses. I'll start with the venture-backed businesses just for the sake of, that's where I started. But the reality of raising venture capital is that it can be up to a 10-year commitment, right? You're growing up until equity. An exit. You are giving away ownership and equity, which as I mentioned, means that you can be giving away control depending on how much capital you've raised and what happens over the course of your business. You're expected to hit 100 million in revenue. You are expected to exit, meaning you have some kind of liquidity event, whether that's an IPO or a merger and acquisition. You have to hit certain revenue metrics in order to keep raising. So if you fail to hit those metrics, investors are going to start to feel like, can you actually do this? And they may pull out, which could totally pull the plug on your business. And you're expected to grow at an accelerated pace. There's a momentum and a lifestyle of living and running a venture-backed business that is not for everyone. And then you have lifestyle businesses, which are, maybe you're growing at a much slower pace, but you're growing at a pace that's, feels appropriate for you. You retain more ownership. There are no revenue targets that you have to hit. There's no expectation to exit. You can run your business as you please. And lifestyle businesses can be everything from a bakery to an internet business to, honestly, you name it, right? Like anything that's not trying to hit 100 million revenue within a 10-year mark. And this is not to say that lifestyle businesses are easy, right? Running a business is hard, but the pressures that come with it drastically change once you start considering and taking on venture capital. So I'll come back to this question of what do you actually want? You do not have to put in the chat what you actually want. This is more just for a reflection on yourself. To really think through, like, what kind of business am I trying to run here? What is the vision that I have for what I'm trying to do? And so I have a couple of questions here that you all can think about to help you think through this, right? So, first of all, it's like defining, what does success even look like to you? And I'll even just give a personal example. I'm definitely more on the lifestyle business side. I live in Costa Rica. I want to be able to leave in the middle of my day and go on the beach. And that for me is success. That for me is like being able to have that balance in my day-to-day life. How do you want to spend your time, right? What do you want to spend your time doing? Again, from a venture-backable business perspective, you're often spending a significant amount of time continuing to grow your business, which is not great if you want to, have work-life balance. Again, what kind of life do you see yourself having? What's the vision for yourself and your company? Where do you see yourself in 5, 10 years? And what do you see the business looking like? And what is it doing? What's the mission you are setting out to accomplish? And what do you need to be able to do that? This is a critical question because, once you get clear about what your mission is and how you're generating revenue, then you can figure out, okay, what are the assets that I need to help me determine what that should look like? And then the last point is, again, how aggressive do you want to grow your business? How aggressively do you want to grow your business? Now, if I'm doing my job, I'm trying a little bit to not dissuade you from some venture capital, but really just show the realities of it, because it's not for everyone, and not everyone can raise it anyways. But I want to talk about a case study of a company that recently IPO'd that talks about, that highlights kind of the nuance that is between that. I'm talking about this in two very polar ways, but there's so much nuance, and there's a lot of, there's a spectrum in all of this. So Klaviyo is they are we'll call it like a marketing tool platform. They are basically like a MailChimp or a ConvertKit, but specifically for e-commerce businesses. And so when the founders started, for the first 3 years of the business, they were just like, hey, let's focus on the product. Let's focus on building the product, making sure that our customers are happy, and really just like getting some momentum. And so for the first 3 years of their business, they were very much more a lifestyle business. They maybe raised like a little bit of money as far as, like some angel investments, but there was no real pressure to grow. They were really like, let's just figure this out. Let's see where we land with this. And then they secured this partnership with Shopify. And that partnership really kind of showed them like, hey, there's actually a massive upside for growing this business. And so at that 3rd year mark, they started to ask themselves, like, how do we, do we want to keep this as a lifestyle business? Or, since we can see a path to this $100 million mark, do we want to try and raise some capital and see if we can grow? And that's what they ultimately did. And so they IPO'd in September of this year. And it felt important to share this because lots of companies, there was a lot of concern that a lot of companies would IPO and their share price would drop. But Klaviyo's actually has continued to rise, which is reflective of how successful and the core foundation of the business model that they built for themselves. And so I share all of this to say there is so much, things can change, right? You can start off as a lifestyle business and then maybe there's something that shifts and then it becomes a different story. And there's so much nuance even in all of that. But I share that to say, this is not necessarily a straightforward or a black or white story. But I think what I fundamentally want to highlight here is that the pool of venture capital is really strong. And it's absolutely for certain kinds of businesses, and it's absolutely not for other kinds of businesses. And, I think founders will sometimes start engaging and raising money for venture capital when it's just not even a good fit for them anyways. And it can just save you so much time because you're like, okay, let me just rule this out. How do I then just focus on, growing my business based on what my customers need and putting your attention there. So the point here being, if massive scale, if IPOing, if that's not what you want, and that's not your vision for your business, don't, I think I just want to invite you all not to get pulled into something that's not a good fit. And also just, again, to reframe this idea of what is success. A company that's doing 10 million in annual revenue by the 10-year or the 15-year mark is absolutely a success. And especially if the impact side of your business is a big driver for why you're doing what you're doing. Because then you're not just measuring exclusively on revenue. There's multiple metrics that you're using that help you determine what's indicating success here. So all of this to say, you really get to decide how you want to grow. But I think what I want to do is put you, the founder, at the center and centering what it is that you actually want for yourself, what it is you're actually trying to achieve. And using that as the starting point and not using kind of the venture capital hype as the thing that's like, oh, maybe I should go and do this, right? Like, what do you actually want? And using that as the starting point. And then pro tip, regardless of which way you go, if you go the venture capital route, if you go the organic growth route, your customers are your beacon. They are your lighthouse. Spend so much time with them, use them to help you figure out how to make more money because they are your path. And this is the one case in the whole world where I'll say, be like Bezos, like with customer obsession. So just to recap quickly here, the first thing that we talked about is, the importance of stepping into your authority, and that really being the foundation for any decisions around business growth. Not even decisions, but just priming yourself to get ready to start growing. And then the second is to get honest with what you want and to own it. And so, if that means like, hey, I actually don't want a massive business, but I do want maybe to hit a couple million in revenue, like then how do you want to go about doing that and what makes sense for you? And then it very quickly rules out where you should be spending your time, right? Like I would say, then don't even spend 2 seconds thinking about raising venture capital. Then there's other ways to grow. All of that being said, if you see yourself as the next CEO, the CEO of the next Spotify, Lululemon, Klaviyo, Uber, Bumbles, right? Like all of these companies that are now publicly traded. If you see yourself operating at that level, if you see yourself and your vision and your ambition is at this level, and this is what's exciting to you, and you're like, this is what we're gunning for, then we can kind of say like, all right, fantastic. Let's look at your business. Let's look at your business model. Let's look at how you're scaling. Let's look at how we position your company so that you can successfully raise venture capital so that you can hit those revenue metrics. Because we're at a point in the world now, and I imagine this will be a theme that gets repeated throughout the course of the session, is what we need now more than ever are women who feel conviction and determined to bring something different into existence, be that through your business. I think especially through your business, and business is such a powerful vehicle to doing that. And so, you know, again, if that's your aspiration, then like lean fully into that. And in whatever way your business looks like, it all kind of is an indication of success. So with that primer in mind, there's a couple of resources available for you that I wanted to share that you can use to kind of take you to that next step. The first is there's a venture capital fit assessment that I've created, and it exists on my LinkedIn. So if you go to my LinkedIn, you'll see in the featured section, or also just right below my name, you can take that assessment and you can, and it will help you kind of determine even more clearly, like if you're having any doubts, is this a good fit for me, right? Should I be considering this as an option? And if not, then there are also a couple of different guiding points for what some alternatives could be for you. And if you're actually fundraising, you know that your company needs to raise money, and that's the direction that your company needs to go. Excuse me, I'm running a 5-week investment prep program. It's called Position to Pitch. It is 5 weeks of going deep into your business so that, you know, if you kick off a fundraising campaign going into 2024, you've had the practice and the framing of your business, and, you know, you go into it feeling confident that you're framing your business in a way that will speak to what investors are looking for. It starts on November 15th. There's more information about that on my website. If you go to aliciabalde.com and the position to pitch, you can just click on that link and there's some details there. Yeah, I think with all of that said, I just want to thank you all for your time. I hope that you are leaving this feeling, you know, inspired to kind of chart your own path and whatever business growth will look most appropriate for your business. And good luck to you all. I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alicia. Such a great and useful content. Thank you for your presentation. And now we are excited to present the participants from the Academy of Women Entrepreneurs in Europe. The Academy of Women Entrepreneurs is a free entrepreneurship program funded by the Department of State, whose objective is to promote the development of entrepreneurial projects that are led by women. I have the honor to have our Heroikka Association as a facilitator of the program in the Canary Islands and in Cuba. And we are going to start with Bianca Benko. She's the owner at Green Touch Cosmetics and Stagland Eco Cabins.
Hello, nice to meet you. So I will share my screen. Yeah. Okay, so have you ever thought about how many plastic bottles you use each year just only in your bathroom? Now consider a 100-room hotel. It uses more than 182,000 mini plastic bottles each year, and they end up in rivers or lakes, usually, slowly driving our planet to death. So I decided a new way of living because I'm working with short-term rental for more than 6 years now. And we manage apartments in the capital in Budapest, but we also decided to our dream was to create like eco cabins, sustainable cabins in the village where we are based now. So with my family, we traveled around the world and we discovered almost every continent together, and around 50 countries. And we slowly started to notice the disaster, what people were causing to our planet because of the plastic pollution. So 3 years ago, I started to work in an EU project, Urban, which is Sustainable Urban Tourism. And our project was to change all the city center apartments to green and eco-friendly apartments. So I looked at all the suppliers, and we found in Hungary, and we found like eco-friendly light bulbs, cleaning materials, but we didn't find any small cosmetics which not come to plastics. And most of them are coming, the eco-friendly products like recycled plastic, but it's not a real solution. And only 90% of the plastic are recycled. That's why we create like more than 400 million tons of plastic waste every year worldwide. So our solution was like a small box which includes all the needs for a 3-5-night stay that accommodation can offer to their guests. So like shampoo, air conditioner, body wash, includes really everything what they need during their stay. So Green Touch products are natural. We don't create any waste. The paper is certified and made from agricultural waste like corn, and we use we don't use much of water during the production. So our brand was inspired by the nature and the place where we live now. So the logo is made from 2 ferns connected with each other, showing the round circle of life. And our brand, clean, honest, and simple. Our target companies, hotels and accommodation, small accommodation like private accommodations for bigger accommodations, companies also who can give their boxes to their employees as a Christmas present. And we also created these products for individual users in bigger sizes. Our unique selling point is there are not really solar products in the hospitality sector. It's a really sustainable solution for the tourism industry, and we don't create any waste during the production and not when we are offering to our guests. So besides that, we are doing the sales. We are participating in online events, trade shows, on social media. We're doing some sponsorships. And we just calculated that if we only reaching 8 hotels with 8 rooms, we can give the following impact. What is important that we decided to build our business in 3 pillars. So we have our premium sustainable cabins. We just finished building 2 of them. So we will provide there the Green Touch products. And I also studying on a master course sustainable tourism and participating on international events. And we would like to create our agency for that consulting for accommodations, that helping them more sustainable. So this is our product, and we're very proud of. We reached as a family. And so Green Touch means the brand motto is be gentle yourself and Mother Nature, which means you don't need to give up the high quality products, enjoy luxury, you just need to use them wisely so you can take care of the nature at the same time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bianca. Beautiful project. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. The following project is by Dr. Alexia Massa-Galucci. She's a marine biologist and entrepreneur, and she is the co-founder at Blue Eco Tech Limited. Welcome, Alexia.
Hello, good evening. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you perfect.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Perfect.
I hope that everybody can see my screen. So hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here tonight, and I'm being selected as one of the contributors to this summit. And My name is Alexia Massagallucci, and I'm a marine and conservation biologist, and also the director and the co-founder of Blue Ecotech. Blue Ecotech is a startup that is based in Malta, and this enterprise was created in 2021 because if you, like me, has grown up around the seaside, possibly become familiar with sites like this in these two pictures. On the left, you have the seagrass underwater, and on the right, you see what is actually accumulated along the shoreline. And this possibly is one of the main reasons why I started to become, or probably became, a marine biologist since I was very, very young. The enterprise itself, Blue Ecotech, focuses on mostly on marine conservation on two main sectors. One part is actually working on habitat restoration because seagrasses have problems related with human impacts. And what we want to do is do underwater reforestation of the seabed where the plant has been removed. And the other front where we work is on the valorization of this seagrass beach wrack. That is all the accumulation of the brown leaves that you can see in the picture up there, and that usually is removed and considered waste. Now, for the people in the audience that are not really familiar with what are seagrasses are just plants, exactly like the apple tree that you see in the picture. So these are flowering plants that have roots, that have a trunk that is called rhizome, and they produce flowers and fruits. In terms of distribution, seagrasses have many different species, a little bit less than 60, and they are distributed all over the world, apart from the Arctic and the Antarctic. The reason why the seagrasses are so important is because they improve the air quality, and in fact, they manage to produce more than 20 liters of oxygen per square meter, and it's actually the very oxygen that we are breathing right now, all of us. And also they contribute to mitigate climate change because through their actions, actually they are able to create a carbon sink within their biomass, and also improve the water quality because they naturally filter seawater, and most importantly support all the biodiversity and the fisheries in the areas where the seagrasses are present. So one of the main problems related with human activity is the production of plastics, especially plastics that are single use, and it's estimated that over 275 million tons of plastics reaches the ocean and the seas through the rivers and so on. So one of the main problem is created actually by our own activities, by our own actions, and especially one component that is called nanomaterials is what also is made traditionally by plastic. The solution to list the production of nanomaterials made of plastic is the use of biomaterials like cellulose. Unfortunately, the cost of production of these natural component, that's natural alternatives, is quite expensive at the moment. So Blue Ecotech wants to produce nanocellulose and bioproducts using the seagrasses that are accumulated along the shoreline because they are basically natural resources that is renewable, using a type of production methods that are more efficient and cost-effective. More efficient and sorry, the presentation got stuck. So basically the beach wrack is all this brown material that is accumulated along the shoreline, and is made up by leaves, roots, and other type of the seagrass, another part of the seagrass that falls off from the plant and then are washed ashore. Usually all over the world, this type of material is collected, especially in the areas that are important for tourist activities, and then removed just before the start of the tourism season and thrown away as a waste. The idea here is then to able to manage and reduce waste using this type of material that again is a natural resource and is also a renewable resource to give a positive climate impact, because removing it from the coastline will avoid the decomposition and the production of other greenhouse gases, like for example methane, and also support the development of circular economy through the production of new biomaterials that can be uptaken by other industries. I'm sorry again, I had a problem with the presentation that got stuck. And probably the best would be to share it not as a full screen, but in this way, so that I will be able to continue and finish the presentation. Apologies for this. Okay. So in terms of customers, Blue Ecotech will work through a model of B2B, and especially customers could be the ones interested, like big companies like Beauregard or Nippon Papers that produce nanocellulose, uptaking the cheaper methodologies. Also, the idea of Blue Ecotech is to use all the other co-products produced through the use of the seagrass beach rock, and cellulose can be also utilized to, for example, produce sustainable textiles. And there are many companies out there that at the moment are interested in the use of sustainable textiles, like, for example, the Italian company Loro Piana. In terms of collaboration, at the moment, Blue Ecotech is collaborating with the University of Vilnius, the head of sector of applied biocatalysis, Dr. Inga Matjoste, and in Malta, with the engineer David Shiberas, that is the CEO and co-founder of Invent3D, because we would like also to explore the application of these materials, novel materials, for example, for 3D printing. In terms of market, we can see that the global level, the nanocellulose market in 2022 was estimated to reaching over $750 million, and there is a forecasted increase of 20.10% between 2023 and 2030. The main drive is actually the increased demand for biodegradable materials and fully compostable type of materials that can substitute what is usually currently used and is made of plastic. What has been done so far with by Blue Ecotech has been the participation to 2 stages of the accelerator program, MED Climate Accelerator, that has been funded by EIT Climate Kick, and also to the Academy of Women Entrepreneurs that I participated last year edition in Malta, and I was basically awarded second prize as a best pitch. In terms of what's next in the future, Blue Ecotech has recently been awarded at Malta the Maritime Seed Award, but also is required further funding to keep supporting the research and development for the production of the product. So I invite all of you, if you got interested in what Blue Ecotech does, to get in contact. To these are my contacts, and also I will share them in the chat. So I really thank you for having me here, and apologize once again for the technically, logistically issues.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alexia. Very interesting project. We also have a lot of seagrass here in the Canary Islands, so yes, very interesting.
Thank you.
And yes, the next project is the one from Dr. Desislava Besinska-Shenkova. She is a psychologist and owner at Psychonica. Welcome, Desislava.
Hello to everyone. I will be traditional. I will not use the presentation because I prefer, as a psychologist, the personal touch and the personal contact. My idea for Psychonica was actually a long time ago, and its origin, actually what the whole thing started was, I saw the problem with the gambling addiction here in Bulgaria, and I saw it very close to me. It was a friend of mine, and I was really, really shocked how his life was ruined, and I started to learn, and I was trying to help. I was still studying in the university, and I actually wanted to do something, but I was not able. And I started to do step by step, studying here and there, different things, different people to see. And I started actually to point myself into the direction of helping gambling addicted people. Unfortunately, I couldn't help, and I understood this even at least when I was in the university, when they explained us that the psychologist can be a psychologist to everyone, but not to his relatives and his very close friends. But I said, hey, this is not a reason for me to give up on this idea. And I started to make step by step in my life to start learn more and more, to start to practice as psychologist and learn a lot from the experience in the whole world. The thing that I saw was that everyone in the world was going to this problem as like it's an addiction, like every other addiction. And I was seeing something else. I saw that actually this addiction has a lot things in common with the others, but also a lot different things from them. And for me, as I say, if this is the person and this is the normal person, there is some black thing that comes behind him and starts to live his life. And this black thing, this black bad person is actually the gambling addiction. And because not everyone can explain to for them what is the difference here is that you don't see actually what comes into the person and what he is addicted to. And I started to work on my own approach to work with the gambling addiction. And my own approach, I called it Gamblex. And my idea was to create the first in Bulgaria center for working with gambling addicted people only, not with any other addiction, just gambling addicted people. And the name of my center, Heroikka, came from the implementation of psychology into the techniques. And so here in my center, where I am right now also, I use not only the approach of consulting as all the other psychologists, but everything that comes new on the market, like biofeedback, neurofeedback, and everything else that can help me into my approach with the people with gambling addiction. As a data, if I can tell it like this, as a data, we see in Bulgaria that the increase is, there is a lot, very big increasing numbers in the area of gambling addiction. And not only that, but they say that Bulgaria becomes something like Las Vegas in Europe, because there are casinos and other big game playing rooms and whatever you can think about on almost every corner. And I am a parent, I've got a kid, and I decided that I cannot stay like this and watch what happens. I should do something, I should move, and I am very proud that I was a part of the AWE a few years ago, and the things that I received there, the knowledge that I received, I even often show that I always do plans for me at the same manner that they taught me. And this was the thing that helped me to realize my idea, not with some kind of money, but with a lot of knowledge in the business side. Because as a psychologist, I understand things, but as a business side, I didn't know anything. And actually, women entrepreneurs helped me a lot in this field, and I now learned how to make every step, every quarter, every year as a plan, and everything that I need to do. And a part of the plan was also to make a book. I did it, and now next step is the translation of this book, which is based on my method, Gamblex. And now the very, very new thing that will come out will be a planner that will be also as a part of the book. And these two things are the things that can help a gambling addicted person to start his fight with the gambling addiction. I am proud to say that I've got not one or two people, but a lot of people who actually quit gambling addiction, and they call me for every holiday to tell me how is their life going, and I'm very proud to see that my method is working. So thank you very much that you listened to me. If you want to contact me, I will be glad. I will leave my contacts. I'm sure they will give it to you, and it was an honor for me.
Thank you so much. This is Lava. You can also put your email contact in the message. Very helpful project for all these gambling addiction problems. And the next one is the project from Linda Stupbartova. She is the founder at ASD Czechia, Empowerment Self-Defense for Everybody and Everybody. Welcome, Linda.
Great to be here. Thank you very much. I'll switch on my presentation because it might be useful for the participants, and very honored to be here to share my journey, which is actually not only my journey, but I established a mother-daughter social business enterprise. You can see my 20-year-old daughter, Lada, who is also a trainer. Empowerment, self-defense. What we think usually, we think about self-defense as martial arts. Look at the statistics. Every third woman, every fourth child, every sixth boy, every 10 men is subject to personal violence throughout their lifetime. And very often the violence comes from nearest and dearest to us. So martial arts is actually not an option. Therefore, we need a holistic approach, which is called empowerment self-defense. It is based on 5 principles. It's about prevention and intuition. It's about yelling, use your voice, but learn to say no, learn to establish boundaries. It's about running, not only physical running, but learning how to navigate throughout a dangerous situation, such as in a bar for young girls, and how to escape and de-escalate. Fight, yes, we teach some techniques that are able to save health or life, and also we allow how to tell, how you can share, heal, and get support. So it's much more complex than just martial arts. And it's for those cases where physical techniques are not the solution. ESD Global is actually active in more than 50 countries and 5 continents. We got more than 350 graduates. But what I did as I established it as a social enterprise, not NGO, because I see very big B2B potential. I see potential in corporations. I see potential in government offices. I see potential at schools, also at orphanages, people with disabilities. I piloted this at various segments. We say we train people from 8 to 88 years old. And I also received some nominations for Woman of the Year of 2022. And this project was awarded as a Hard Project of the Year of City of Prague last year. And we talked about SDGs a lot, so I also ended up as a semi-finalist in SDGs Awards. This year, I concentrated on establishing partnerships, on talking to HR, because look at the rise of aggression. There are people that are very much threatened by their clients or by the customers. Think about hospitals, think about hospitality segments. Due to economic stress, due to wars erupting, due to pandemic, we forgot how to communicate and how to solve, let's say, complicated issues in non-violent manners, and people are turning into aggression very fast. So I started my collaboration with universities, corporations, and schools to prove that this project can be viable, that I don't have to be an NGO, because very often, and it's the case of Central and Eastern Europe, NGOs are starving. There is not enough of funds available. Next steps, I want to scale up. And I want to use technology. I have 2 solutions prepared. Number 1, virtual reality. We need to make violence education prevention scalable and affordable to teenagers. But how to talk about this topic, which is very difficult? Well, make it as a game. Also, X-learning program, think about it as advanced e-learning. So you can train not only children at schools, but you can train healthcare professionals, employees of government offices that are facing aggressive clients, and many more. So we talk about investment. Yes, we are looking for some, but also we are looking for partners, and we are looking for PR support, because very often whenever I present my subject, they say, oh, why don't you establish an NGO? And I think we should advocate for us more as women entrepreneurs. So thank you again for sharing my journey, my passion, and yes, we can prevent violence. So please connect to me and let's make this world better and safer. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. What a great project. Love your mother and daughter project. Very inspiring and very helpful. Thank you so much. And the following project is by Ada Book and Amra Korik, CEO and co-founder at Kaur. Welcome, Ada.
Hello, nice
Hello.
to have you, and thank you for this opportunity. I will present and I'll start quickly. Okay. I believe you are all wondering, what is Kaur? Kaur is a story about a woman in you. Kaur is gracious, but she is fierce. And Kaur is a woman who will change this world. My name is Ada, and I'm one of the co-founders of Kaur, beside my best friend that you can see, Amra. And as I mentioned, this story is about 2 best friends that decided to make a change in their community. Kaur is a clothing brand for women inspired by yoga lifestyle, and in 2 years, we're relatively new, we have developed a successful business and a recognizable brand worn by women throughout the region and beyond. Apart from this, we both have more than 11 years of experience in yoga and other holistic disciplines, and in our friendship, we value support, we value empowerment, and we value inspiration. And those have become the core values of Kaur. Other people, and women especially, recognize this, they trust us, and they actually see that we have a certain integrity in our community. Kaur is the only clothing brand inspired by yoga lifestyle in our region. So it's like the Western Balkans. It is actually, up till now, we have produced 8 successful collections. We have a profitable and liquid business, and of course, our vision is to grow it even more. Our products are worn almost on all occasions, as you can see. Our customers are mainly women, of course, 30 to 45 years old, and which live more in urban areas of the region. And in this age of new fashion, of like fast fashion, women are really looking for some uniqueness and some clothing with that has values, and women really recognize that in us. We believe one of our greatest strengths is sustainability, so we strive to grow that sustainability throughout the whole company structure. It is designed and manufactured completely in our country. The production is outsourced, is sustainable, and what's most important is it's based on ethical work, labor, ethical supply chain, and we really take care of materials. They are eco-friendly, organic materials, and we strive, as we are still small, small, but we will strive to always be environmentally conscious, slow fashion brand. From the beginning, we positioned ourselves as an online brand. You can check out our website through the barcode already, but we realized that women as well like to feel the fabrics and touch them, and so we are now present as well in stores throughout our country. This is just some financial results from last year. We managed to make our break-even point, and concerning this year, we are growing 25% more in revenue compared to this year. I think you all know this famous quote from Simon Sinek, and Kaur is really that. So we are not just a clothing brand. We actually want to, and we are nurturing a community already for years with people that want to live a more conscious and more healthy and more present life. And that is why we actually are the first ones, and we want to make the first online and regional online platform for yoga, self-empowerment and personal development, which is actually called Kaur Concept. And through that actually platform, we want to create a community of other instructors in the region with whom we collaborate already, and in some way connect this story with this sustainable yoga wear that we already make, and have a platform where people can have this connection with themselves, and as well have this cross-selling in both platforms, in which that way we actually achieve more customer satisfaction, as well as customer retention rate and value. We believe that actually creating this is actually a whole new movement in our community, even though we are a small community, and we don't dream small, we dream big, and even from the beginning. So our next step, and I hope it is the near future, is expansion to the EU market, and we actually see this brand really as a recognizable global brand. And our ultimate vision is actually zero waste production, especially from the parts of the material left in the production, as you see, mostly yoga props. And we believe Kaur is a way of living and being, and that we will show that the community is changed from the inside out, and it starts with ourselves. And if you're willing, you can join the movement. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Ada. Love your clothes and all Kaur products and philosophy. Thank you so much for inspiring us. And finally, I want you to introduce you to Sandra Ruivo. She is the founder at Speed Turtle and Turtle Petals Group. Welcome, Sandra.
Hello, and nice to see you all. I will just share my presentation so you can have a visual of the images that I will share.
Thank you.
So I am one of the founders of Turtle Petals and Speed Turtle Group. To talk to you about a little bit about our companies. They were founded 12 years ago. We founded Speed Turtle alongside with my brother and sister. This is a company specialized in the industry of mold manufacturing for plastic injection. And we are located in one of the biggest clusters in Europe, and that is in Portugal. We have a setback 5 years ago. We had a major change in our company. One of the founders left, and in this case was my brother, leaving Speed Turtle as a woman-led company in a predominantly male industry. This causes a lot of challenges because we are misjudged by appearances, by being a woman in this particular industry. So our technical knowledge and engineering knowledge and capabilities to manage and have a successful business is always questioned. So to overcome these challenges, we define a brand new strategy, and followed by this new strategy, we create Turtle Petals in 2021, which has the specific mission to bring innovation and developing sustainable products in our industry, as well, not only products, but as well sustainable manufacturing process. Together, both companies work to promote sustainability, but we found a more meaningful social impact in our companies. And we want to change the bias in this industry, that for us, that we suffer a lot with this problem, it's a very important objective and goal. Now the group offers completely solutions to our customers, from the design to engineering, prototyping products, as well as scale manufacturing stage for plastic and silicone products. Last year, in 2022, we had the privilege to be the second award winner of the program Academy for Women Entrepreneurs by the US Embassy in Lisbon with our project Petal Spot, that is a home compostable capsule. Why this product development? Because in case you don't have this knowledge, more than 60 billion coffee capsules are consumed worldwide, in which less than 25% are recycled, meaning the remaining of them ends up in landfills. So in this particular case, we join all the knowledge that we have in this industry, and we developed Petal Spot, a capsule that is patent on design. It's biodegradable and compostable in 6 months on natural environment, meaning you don't have to send it to recycle industrial facilities. It does disintegrate in nature without harmful the environment, and with 0% fossil fuel origin. Also, this design is patented, and we are very happy that we could patent this innovative design. This award by the US Embassy and the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs, in our case and business, were a game changer because it allowed us to have international recognition and obliging our stakeholders to give us credibility for our work and our business and the work that we have been doing in these last 5 years. And just for you to have a notion, after this award, we were nominated for other awards in this specific product, but as well as in the industry. We were invited for a lot of executive conference regarding engineering situations, but as well we were nominated Woman Breaking the Mold in USA by the Plastic News. So this was a very important milestone that changed the way our stakeholders look at us, and it was very important. Nowadays, currently, we have been investing in a very enthusiastic project that for us has also a very big meaning, that has a big social and sustainable impact. Women, about 10% of women who menstruate do not have access to menstrual products, especially teenagers in some locations in our world. They don't go to school on the weeks they are menstruated because they don't have access to hygiene products. Mainly, around 5 million people live in menstrual poverty. So this is really worldwide social equity issue, and also involves human rights, especially women rights, to have access to these mainly basic products, let's say, and to have a menstrual dignity. So we created a brand, Cachopa, that is a menstrual cup. Cachopa is a Portuguese name, doesn't have direct translation to English. It means a blossoming flower, a young lady, a little one, a woman, already a grown woman. So this represents to us that we have a role to play in citizenship and educational action. And we mainly want to give opportunity to all women around the world that menstruate. Currently, we are working with some platforms to give access to these main products all over the world, but we want to promote more, and we want to give individuals access to these fundamental, let's say, products, but dignity as well. So our menstrual cup is designed to different types of bodies. It has different sizes. It's 100% manufactured internally in our company in Portugal, and it's produced with a medical grade silicone according to the best practice. So we could give access to these products with women all over the world in a very good conditions, health conditions. This is not as well only a social impact product, but as well a sustainable product, because one single product, one single menstrual cup can be used for more than 10 years, substituting the single-use products that we know for women. And it has a huge impact in our sustainability. It's easy to clean. It's very cheap and affordable to women all over the world to use it. You don't have to spend lots of money all the time that you are menstruated. So, and it's easy to clean. We hope with this product to sell to B2C, of course, final consumers, but the mainly objective of this product is to since we have all the capabilities inside house, to allow that we could ship this product worldwide to women in need, young teenagers, with less cost for all of them. So I hope you like this small presentation of my business and my sister, of course, and spread the word and try to do our best to help as we can all the world, and especially women in this case. Yes. Thank you for everyone.
Thank you, Sandra, so much for the social impact you're creating with your products. Thank you so much. And well, now it's time for the Academy of Women Entrepreneurs in Africa. We are extremely happy to introduce the following women entrepreneurs. They will be Sailin Kathi-Smith, founder and CEO at Sea-Wash; Vera Obeng, founder at Taltoma Ventures; Faith Lawoko, director at Reach Out Safaris and Travel Agencies; Catherine Shembilu, founder at Vikapu Bomba Company; Gracia Bimbiso Bute, she is the founder of Pabute Gourmet; and Rokaya Diagne, she is the CEO at the startup Afia Sense. So welcome to all of them.
Hi, my name is Sailin Kathi-Smith. I am from Liberia, West Africa. I am the founder and chief executive officer of Sea-Wash. Sea-Wash is an online detergent business that produces Clorox, bathroom wash, and liquid soap. We supply homes, offices, and institutions. Our products are efficient and effective for all cleaning purposes. This business was funded on needs. Firstly, to improve health. In Liberia, we are challenged with typhoid, and that's because the environments are not clean. Sea-Wash is an effort to ensure that the environments are clean and families are healthy. Next is empowerment. This business was funded to create an empowering space for youth in our society, especially women. Regardless of the educational status, if a woman is ready to work, earn, and make impact in society, we at Sea-Wash are open to train her and give her a place of employment. Now, since this business was funded, we've trained women in our community who are now producing and selling their products. And currently, we have women undergoing training right now. Now, in order to make more impact, we want to expand the business. And we will need funding to do that. We want a bigger space for production, which will enable us to produce in larger quantity and sell to the growing market. We need equipment to help us produce faster, thus creating more room for empowerment for women all around our country. Last, we need packaging for our products, because right now we sell in wholesale, but we want to produce our products and sell in smaller packages so that everyone will be able to afford it. Unfortunately, in Liberia, we do not have packaging companies here. We have to travel to Ghana or Nigeria to customize our packages and bring them back to Liberia. And it costs a lot. But because we want to make impact and we want to ensure that our products are sold to everyone, we want that to have our products packaged in smaller packages so that everyone will be able to afford it. Lastly is transportation. We offer delivery service. Now, getting our products to customers via commercial transportation cost is time consuming and it slows down delivery work. Now, having our own transport will not just accelerate delivery, but will also help us to transport our products around and sell to small business owners, and they can sell to their community. We intend to go further beyond our capital in the rural areas to get more women trained, empower them so that they can be able to sell the products and take care of their families. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I look forward to the Women's Summit.
Hi, my name is Vera Obeng. I'm an artist, the founder and creative instructor at Tautoma. My entrepreneurial journey has been a very interesting one because I believe it affords me the opportunity to discover things about myself that I didn't even know existed. What started as my need to maneuver through postpartum depression after I had my son actually opened me up to starting this business, Tautoma. Tautoma is a waist bead hub based in Kumasi, Ghana. We are focused on creating luxurious handmade waist bead for the professional woman. Waist beads have different uses in different cultures, but in Ghana, it's more like an intimate thing that is often shared between a man and a woman. However, some people use it as a gauge in weight management. Some also use it as a fashion accessory. Others also just wear it for wearing sake, which is fine. There are also some spiritual connotations to it, which I will not bore you with that, obviously. We've had the pleasures of designing waist bead for the former U.S. ambassador to Ghana, Her Excellency Susan Sullivan, courtesy of the our team in Ghana, which she was very excited about. So in our quest to provide women with exquisite handmade jewelry, we had orders, people expressing interest about learning it. And due to that, we've been able to train about 30 women in the art and craft of waist beading over a 3-year period. And we've sold about 2,502 units of waist bead. We have a team of 2 permanent workers and about 10 contract workers. What I believe that one of the things that make some of our students interested in learning this is the fact that they are not able to properly monetize the skill, partly due to the fact that as women, most of us have 2 or more streams of income. And in waist beading, you need to be present, you need to be creative, you need time, most importantly, to be able to create waist beading. So yes, after obtaining the skills, they are not able to monetize it, partly because they don't have time. That is where we come in. We've had students express interest in franchising. So coupled with our excellent customer service, our comprehensive waist bead course, and the fact that when you buy from us, you are not just helping us, my team, or helping me make a living, you are also helping a needy student, a young adult, and a kaya earn an income for themselves. We are inviting mentors and collaborators who will be able to assist us put together a comprehensive franchise model to be able to scale up and also help our students also earn money for themselves. Thank you.
My name is Faith Laoko Ouma, a social entrepreneur with professional training and over 30 years working experience in the areas of fashion and design, tourism, hospitality, teaching and training and mentorship. I am a co-owner of Reach Out Safaris and Travel Agencies Limited, a company that is 75% owned by women. We are currently promoting community tourism with a focus on enabling the SDG goals for women and youth in 5 major areas. First is the creative arts, where we look at authentic music and dance and drama, art and crafts, and things that the women are usually engaged in so that they can have some capital. Secondly, we are looking at the area of culinary, authentic cuisine, taking people to learn about the culture that is involved in the cuisine of the people of the region. Thirdly, we have the area of beauty and health or well-being, because the area in Gulu is a region that has a lot of shea butter and its products. So we are looking at helping the women to promote these products worldwide, or even regionally, or even nationally, and even in the East African region. We also look at things like herbs and organic products that can help them to get an income and help their communities as well as their households. We're also looking at taking people to visit the historical sites in the region, tourist attractions, and even promoting homestays, still to help the women to get some capital to earn their living. And finally, fifthly, we have agricultural tours that we will also be promoting. You may wonder why we go into this kind of business. Well, in the start, in 1996, Reach Out Safaris started out because there was need for travel agents to take care of hospitality needs of the market that was growing. So that's why Reach Out Safaris was started. However, recently we diversified and went mostly into community tourism because so many of the women and children are unemployed and are looking for work. And yet these are things they do normally. And the tourists also want their money to trickle down to them. So we have gone into those products knowing that there's a high market and demand, and also knowing that the women and the children and youth can get some money for their upkeep and for their households and families and be liberated. Why did we do this? It's because of our care, because like I said, I'm a social entrepreneur, and me and the other women who own the business are also interested in helping these households. What do we need? There's a big problem or a challenge in getting to these women. Most of them live so far out, and we need to transportation to go and visit them on outreaches. We need also to get them to be visible to the world. So we need a lot of marketing. We need to train them so that their products can easily sell on the market. And also we need to help them to access the raw materials that they don't have at the moment to make their goods their products a good quality. We also need to go and give them some mentoring and coaching throughout in their small groups, because they are scattered all over the region. Something that they've been taking not as a way of getting income is, for instance, shea butter. So they need also the products to be expounded on, creams and other things. So all these things, we feel that we can be supported on that. Thank you very much.
My name is Catherine Shembilu. I am a social entrepreneur with over 10 years of experience working in community development and public health research projects tailored in vulnerable women. I am the founder and managing director of Vikapu Bomba Company Limited in Southern Tanzania. Proudly Academy for Women Entrepreneurs Alumni Cohort of 2020. 13 years ago, I received an email from a friend who is a psychiatrist doctor in Finland, previously worked with me in one of the hospitals in southern Tanzania, where I was interning as a counseling and psychology student. She explained to me her interest of supporting local women artisans in Tanzania who make handmade products. And among these products were Iringa baskets. Because I'm from the northern side of Tanzania and not the southern side of Tanzania, I was not very familiar with the Iringa baskets. So I went around and asked, and I was directed to the market where they sell baskets. When I got there, I was fascinated with the beauty of Iringa baskets. They were piled up. But one thing that I was not satisfied with was the quality of these baskets, and the designs were all the same. So I wanted to learn more about Iringa baskets. I asked where I could meet the weavers. I was directed to a village near Iringa town, about 55 kilometers. I journeyed to this village, and when I arrived there, I met Atweluche, my friend for 13 years, who has become like a mother to me. Outside Atweluche's house, I saw a beautiful basket close to her kitchen. It was piled with vegetables. I was very excited. I shared my interest with Atweluche to purchase baskets from women, her and other women from her village. But with sadness on her face, Atweluche told me that poverty, lack of market, and opportunities has forced them to abandon this culture. Imagine weaving a basket for 6 days over 6 hours a day and ending up selling it for 6,000, 7,000, which is equivalent to $8. It was this context, the need, and my strong belief in the power of women working together that motivated me to found Vikapubomba, which means fantastic baskets. Vikapubomba currently works as a social company in southern Tanzania, working with over 300 rural women who were previously unemployed in the design and production of fashionable hand-woven baskets. Through Vikapubomba, rural women basket weavers are organized into small artisans group. And with the help of the lead artisans, they are trained to improve their weaving skills and get connected to both regional and international markets. These markets allow VB artisans to earn fair pricing for their products and reliable income, which is sustainable as well. At Vikapubomba, we believe that trade should be transparent and personal. That's why each of our products comes with a label featuring a portrait and a short story of the Vikapubomba woman who have hand-woven this product. I believe with more capital, Vikapubomba can expand its mission and empower more rural women, basket weavers, both in Tanzania and Africa. Investing in Vikapubomba, you are not just supporting a business, you are investing in the empowerment of talented rural women artisans, their families, and their communities. Capital support will enable us at Vikapubomba to expand our reach, providing more rural women with opportunities and making a real impact on their lives through income generation, access to health, childcare, and education. Together, we can weave a brighter future, be a part of our fantastic journey, and make a lasting difference. Thank you, Women in Impact Summit. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present Vikapubomba to a wider audience.
Hello, my name is Gracia Mbiso-Vute. I am a Zimbabwean self-trained chef and an entrepreneur. The name of my business is Pavute Gourmet, and Pavute means, in my language, under the shade, which is also part of my surname, which means Vute, which is under the shade. And my business focuses on food service and catering, and I started this business in 2019, and I officially registered it in 2021 in Zimbabwe. How I started my business. When I was in university, I studied a double degree major in the Netherlands, where I did hospitality management and international business administration. During this time of which, when I was about to finish, COVID-19 pandemic struck, and I had no option but to be stuck at home. During this time, I was staying in a student accommodation where I had a lot of friends around me that I'd known for a long time, and everyone was struggling mentally. And for me, cooking was something that I was so passionate about. I used to cook every single day, and doing this, I realized I could do more help by making comfort foods for my friends that missed home and couldn't travel home because of the travel restrictions. I started cooking food in my little student accommodation, which at first was a little ridiculous to me, and I don't think I intended it to be a business, but it was just a way of me to find comfort. And at the same time, my mother was fighting. She was diagnosed with breast cancer. She's late now, and during that time, she had been struggling because also she couldn't travel for treatment. So for me, cooking was just something that would calm me down. During this time, I started cooking, and one of my friends decided to let me know that, look, if you're cooking for us every single day, we might as well pay you for your service. And just like that, I started cooking meals every single day and making money off of it. I started my Instagram page, and from that, I started getting traction. And people back home in Zimbabwe were sending me messages assuming that I was in Zimbabwe and could offer them the same services. So when I then finally managed to come back home, which wasn't a very positive light because I'd lost my mother, I came back and I decided to just start. And I just started. I would start off with a few guests where I would make private dinners, and I would go into people's homes and do private dinners. And from there, I started investing more in my business. I officially legally registered it, and I started doing more research, attending seminars that would make me understand what being an entrepreneur was all about. And something that's more recent is that I attended AWE, which is an academy for women entrepreneurs. And this also taught me how to grow my business. And I've been doing that every step of the way. I started off by doing larger events. I did weddings, I did gatherings, I did conferences, I did parties, and now my specialization is in doing traditional weddings in Zimbabwe. How I've managed to stand out in this field is I incorporate our cultural elements in everything that I do. So as an example, when people use chafing dishes and chafing fuel for cooking and serving their food, I use clay pots, which is something that is traditionally unique to us and has been used for generations for preserving and cooking. I also use charcoal heaters as opposed to chafing fuel and burners because I find that more sustainable. And as we are moving towards an approach that's focusing on sustainability, I decided to use charcoal heaters, which are also made by locals. And I think this is my own way of also supporting the local people when I am also growing my business at the same time. What do I need to continue to progress my business? I think I need to do a lot more of investing in my own education, which means also like trainings. And one of the things I'm grateful about is the Academy of Women Entrepreneurs, as I said before, because this also gives me an opportunity to get other things that grow me. As an example, I would need more money to invest into my business. And I would also need to partner with other women that know things that I might not know yet, and that can impart me into growing my networks, into understanding more about how women entrepreneurs can become big philanthropists in their markets. And I think I've already started in my philanthropical work, which is I think something I also need to do to continue in my operations, to be able to help the less privileged in the best way that I can now. And the last thing I'm going to say is, for everyone that's listening to me right now, I think philanthropy while being an entrepreneur is very important, and also being sustainable, because I always used to think that being successful is when you can only start to do your philanthropical work. But I think you become successful when you help people around you by using your passion to drive growth in the economy, by helping the community in the things that they need, and by also self-growth and making sure that you become an example to the people around you. I thank you so much for your time, and this was me, Gracia.
Hello everyone, I am Rokhaijan from Senegal, and I am a computer science student at the Dakar American University of Science and Technology. I am also an entrepreneur. I am the CEO of the startup AfiaSense. Afia in Swahili stands for health. At AfiaSense, we sense the future of health tech using technologies such as artificial intelligence and robotics. Our goal is to provide more accurate ways of diagnosing some diseases. Our very first project is called MALOC. MALOC stands for Malaria Locator. With MALOC, we provide a very accurate way of diagnosing malaria. The process is very simple. It's a platform composed of a platform, by the way, that we are still building, but we have an algorithm that is able to classify infected cells and uninfected cells using a deep learning model that is trained with images of infected cells of malaria and uninfected cells. And the model itself is able to perfectly identify positive cases or negative cases of malaria. So with MALOC, our goal is to allow lab technicians, especially the ones that are in rural areas, to allow them to actually detect malaria at a low cost using our algorithm. But not only that, we also have built 3D printed microscope, which is a digital holographic microscope. And the goal of that is to make sure that every lab, especially the ones that are in resource limited areas, for instance in Senegal, to have accurate ways of detecting malaria using our microscope. Because here, unfortunately, a lot of labs can only rely or mainly rely on rapid tests, which are sometimes not very accurate to detect malaria. So we started this project because of the fact that we realize we are having every year a lot of malaria cases, and also we also having a lot of people that are dying from malaria, unfortunately, not just in Senegal, but in other countries in Africa and around the world. And every year, the ministries or the programs that are fighting against malaria are spending a lot of money in prevention, but unfortunately, it's not enough, because the most important things, which is very accurate ways of detecting the disease, those labs don't have it because they don't have microscopes, because usually it's a bit expensive. So with our solution, they will be able not only to have those microscopes at a very low cost, but providing better ways of visualizing what they're having on a slide, but also to have precision and accuracy in every diagnostic that they are doing. We use malaria as a proof of concept, but in the future, we will be able to detect other diseases such as tuberculosis, sickle cell anemia, etc. What do we need in order to continue in operation? We will need a lot of money. We won some prizes, which is great, but unfortunately, we will need a lot of money in order to fund our project. Besides that money that is needed, we will also need support from researchers that are working in malaria. Thank you.
Wow. Thanks for all these inspiring African projects. Well, and that's all for today. I hope you are all inspired as I am. Thanks again to our sponsors. Thanks to our production team, Silvia and Irene. Thanks to our communication and marketing team, the great Irina. Thanks to our interpreters, Carla, Anouk, Polly, Andrea, and Pearl. And thanks to our main Heroikka, Maika Gil. Tomorrow we will continue with Carmen Correa from Pro Mujer, a great panel about women investing in women. And of course, all the amazing projects presented by women entrepreneurs from around the world. It has been truly an honor to stand before you today and witness the incredible gathering of women from all corners of the world. In this moment, we are all united by a shared vision, a vision where every woman is empowered to pursue her dreams with determination. Thanks again for joining us today, for your love, and see you tomorrow. Thank you.